Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker's got some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I just said video. Live stream. Hi. I'm having some weirdness with my audio. Does it sound okay to everybody? Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're okay. Okay. Hello. Sorry about the echo. I apologize. Hello, everybody. Little shaky start there. We're good. It's gone now, yeah. I was accidentally monitoring myself, and you can hear when I'm monitoring myself. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hey, Furball joining the replay crew. So is Spicy Ginger. Hello. Hey, Veronica. Hi, Kex. Hi, Rex. Kex and Rex, you rhyme. Hey, Benita. Hey, Veronica. Oh, I said Veronica again. My goodness. Oh, I'm solid today. Hi, Boopcat. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Amanda. Hello, Darkwick and Kremlings. Thank you so much for being in here modding today. Yeah, it's gonna be another heavy one. Hello, Mother of Baggins. Hey, Lazy Texican. Hello, everybody. Hey, Shannon. Hey, Dawn. Hello, Joke. Oh, have I got everyone? I think I've got it. Hello, Yamano. Hello. Hi, everybody. Echoed for a bit. Yeah. I fully botched. So how is everyone today? How's everyone's week been? I have had quite a week. I do apologize for having to delay the members only stream. And what's annoying is because it was the first one, I'm like, I've just gone and done a Roz. Like fully done a Roz. You hear chicks? Baby chicks? That's super weird. Can't imagine why that would be. Really weird. Okay. You're just seeing a feathery butt. That's not very helpful. What are you doing? Okay, so there are baby chicks. And they're presently really excited about the camera. I think it's because they can see themselves in it. And now all you're seeing is just feathers. This is no good. What are you doing? Hey. Trying to get their attention. Hey. Yeah. So I thought I would surprise you all with some baby chick cam. These are not my baby chicks. Yeah, Yamano, you called it. I knew I heard babies. These are actually my grandparents' chicks. There's 5 of them, but they had to go into town for quite an extended visit today, and these are still very little. Not that you can tell. I'll try and distract them from the camera, but they needed chick sitting. So I'm on chick sitting duty today, and I figured none of you would really mind some baby chicks in the camera. So they have a webcam. I'm gonna just leave it up. They're obsessed. They are so active. So active. Hello, Neo, over on Twitch. Hi. And so now I'm like, yeah, no work is going to get done today. None at all. But these are the grandparents that we're going to be helping with the farm. And yeah, it's just gorgeous. You want to play with the babies? They're so friendly too. Just see if I can scatter them. One moment. No, you're just gonna be savaged. They're obsessed with the light at the moment, so there's no distracting. But there's a yellow one that's right in front of you at the moment. I gotta say, pretty sure that's a rooster. Just looking at the body language and the way it acts, I'm pretty sure that's a rooster, along with maybe one more. Their little faces, yeah, they're so cute. They're so tiny. I'm not sure how old they are, but they're fully feathered in their little chick down. They're so soft and they're so tiny. I have no idea what breed they are. No idea. The grandparents have basically just like a free-for-all, so it's probably a mix of everything. You love roosters so much. Me too, Yummy. Me too. Like, hens are wonderful. They really are, and they deliver their own set of personalities, but roosters are just like so much more. You don't care, give you all the babies. Yeah, I said, so I feel like I should have some sort of like fee associated with keeping said chickens, but I don't get to keep any of these. Oh, well, this is not fun for the camera. Oh my gosh. I might see if I can move it. I mean, they will get bored eventually. They're chicks. They're just really obsessed with looking at themselves at the moment. You did. ALR is demonetized again. And technically she didn't even do one video, did she? Because she did the one that she was talking about reapplying. But then she, yeah, she got demonetized again. Oh my gosh. It's that same one. It's the one that I think is a rooster that will not leave the camera alone. Freddy was like that too when he was little. Peck, peck, peck. You're being brutalized at the moment. Totally savaged. Your life is on the line. Veronica, that's the right thing. I need to move to the country and get some chickens. I don't want them. I need them. You don't know how much you need them until you have them, and then you're like, yeah, how did I live before this? They're emotional support for the stream. Yeah, they are. They are. Yes, and the LCU has scrubbed the entire LCU for any trace of ALR. And I think that's wise on Keem's behalf. Like, my original video on all of this was that Keem was taking a risk by doing this. And it seems like, courtesy of Zachary Michael and that journalist, that they've caught on to that and what's going on. Oh my gosh, you've got 4 of them all attacking you at the moment. 4 of them. You're debating on getting an incubator for eggs. I would love to raise chicks. I really would. But I've said that I don't want to do it until I have a solution for roosters, because I can't get rid of them. How did I live without chicks? Yeah, that would be a funny parody. Watch out, we're being gang stalked. Oh dear. So I thought you might enjoy. I thought they were, up until I started the stream, kind of just cruising around, and it would have been a bit more interesting than just looking at blurry fuzz. But chickens be chickens, and they'll do what they want, so there's not much I can do about that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the stream. So for today, we're going to pick up where we left off with this We're All Insane podcast thing. As always, like, my mods are absolutely amazing, and they'll be giving reminders throughout that, you know, this stuff is heavy, and I don't normally like to give trigger warnings on my content because I feel like all of my content is a trigger warning, but just the sheer amount of ignorant shit that is going to come out of her mouth through this, and the topics that she's speaking on that she maybe shouldn't be speaking on, or at least in the way that she's doing it, is insane. So that's why I feel it's appropriate. Also, another thing I'll say is any criticism that we bring, whether it's myself or whether it's those in the chat, any criticism that we bring to Roz, I really want anybody listening to keep in mind that this is not criticism aimed at you. I would really caution you to apply any of it to yourself, because almost, I would say all of it, is done because of her history of lying, exaggerating, manipulating, and I'm guessing that probably doesn't represent anybody who is here listening to this. So please be mindful not to apply any criticisms to Roz to yourself. This is a very unique person in a very unique situation, and therefore has unique criticism to her. And yeah, it's you hit character limits. But yeah, it's also very misinformation heavy for sure. Absolutely. Hello, Doomstacked. Oh, it's your birthday. Hello everyone, trigger warning, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. Can we get some party hats and celebration emojis or celebration chickens in the chat for Doom? I'm honored that you're spending it here with all of us today. Yes, well, it's supposed to be chicken cam, but all you're getting is just blurry feathers because they're obsessed, like fully obsessed. One moment. Straight back to it. Look at that derpy guy. You see a butt? Yeah, that's pretty much all you're gonna get. I assume they'll get bored of it eventually. If you want me to try and move the camera, I can try. They're in the hospital coop at the moment, so there is limited places I can put it. Oh my gosh, they're full on though. They are full on. Okay, so also another thing that I did want to say about Rosie Lynn over here is that I think some people are feeling a little bit sensitive to the amount of criticism and hate that Rosie gets, and I have to be brutally honest that everything that I've seen so far, compounded by this interview for sure, but the patterns I'm sensing, I honestly think that Roz has the capability to be far more sinister than Amber does. And I think that's saying something. And so bear in mind, everyone who's in the chat, not everybody is at the same knowledge level of Rosie. I think a great deal of us are still learning here, so let's all try to keep a bit of an open mind, look after each other, and yeah, definitely remember this criticism does not belong to you. You agree, yeah. And it seems like a lot of her behavioral patterns are very concerning to me. Very, very concerning. You feel the same way, Yummy. Exactly, I feel the same way, Vera. Yes, yes, yeah. No problem, pain in the axe. Thanks so much for dropping in. I just wanted to say, I hope anyone who finds Mother's Day hard, that my thoughts are with you over the weekend. That's so nice, Asha. Yeah. Yeah, so, shall we get started? Shall we? I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the ticks. They're going to be an eternally distracting thing. Jeez, they're full on. Okay, let's get started in the interview.
Like freak him out and then turn it off again. He did that to me. And he
Sorry, I think the volume's off. Sorry, one moment.
did it while I was driving by the hotel by my house that I lived in at the time. And I eventually was able to confirm on Snapchat his location was still out in, I won't say where, but out in a state in the middle of nowhere. And so I was like, okay, so he's not actually here. At one point, like, I was scared of that. What's this fucker do? He got in through my camera. He recorded me through my camera for about 18, 20 minutes, and it dropped in my iCloud before I guess he couldn't delete it. And that's what landed me trying to go to the hospital for the second time in,
Sorry, I just need to, I'm having some oddness with my headphones and it's going to affect your audio. Hang on a second. I think the Bluetooth just paired weirdly. One moment, sorry about that. It's like they didn't connect thoroughly, almost. That's very weird. Hang on, I'm just gonna change headsets. One moment.
Omaha. Because while I was in Omaha, I tried to go into the
Did that sound okay for everyone?
hospital 3 times because I had fractured my metatarsal. So to kind of back that up a little bit,
I'll go back because none of this none of this went in. Sounds good? Okay, cool. I'm unfortunately on wired headphones now, but yeah. You got a cute little glimpse just before, and now we're back to being pecked. Okay, let me go back. Alrighty. Okay, this is picking up where we went off from last stream. Alright, cool. We're good to go. Yes, we're focused. Let's go.
And then turn it off again. He did that to me. And he did it while I was driving by the hotel by my house that I lived in at the time. And I eventually was able to confirm on Snapchat his location was still out in, I won't say where, but out in a state in the middle of nowhere. And so I was like, okay, so he's not actually here. At one point, like, I was scared of that. What's this fucker do? He got in through my camera. He recorded me through my camera for about 18, 20 minutes, and it dropped in my iCloud before I guess he couldn't delete it. And that's what landed me trying to go to the hospital for the second time in Omaha. Because while I was in Omaha, I tried to go into the hospital 3 times.
Yeah, sorry, that wouldn't have made sense. So she's talking about her stalker at the moment. This is the guy that, just to give you a little bit of context where we left off, I personally agree with Nikki T's theory. What is? Why are we yelling? We're yelling. And why is the, oh my gosh. Sorry about that. So what she's talking about is this guy that she had been talking to while she had a boyfriend, and she totally got G-worded into meeting him and then doing a bunch of sexual acts that she wasn't necessarily now claiming consensually happened. And the whole thing, oh, it's just saying that, I'm listening to the words coming out of my mouth and it's uncomfortable because, like I said in the last stream, I really want to believe a victim's story. I think it's dangerous to not. The way she's delivering it and the amount of things that has changed and the amount of things that she's exaggerated is what's making me doubt her story. Anyway, to most of us, we're getting the vibe that she was actually having an emotional affair with this guy and is now retroactively feeling regret and changing the story. But yeah, this is the stalker section that we had. They were yelling because they couldn't see themselves in the camera for a moment. Oh my gosh. There's a couple that are just sitting there. I think they like the sound of my voice and they're just sitting down there staring up at me. It's so cute. I'm very distracted. Maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Because I had fractured my metatarsal. So to kind of back that up a little bit, when I had blocked him, it was like early 2021. I removed him from my Facebook because I was sick of him. Like it was my first Valentine's Day with my boyfriend after we got back together, and he sent me this message saying Happy Valentine's Day. I think like love you, or just like a heart emoji or something. I don't remember exactly, but I know it said Happy Valentine's Day. And when me and my ex had broken up, it was like the Valentine's Day was kind of the final straw of a bullshit list of problems. And he knew that.
So the disturbing pattern that I'm picking up with Rosie Lynn, by the way, I'm not making fun of her name. Her name is actually Rosalind, like her real name. Can't make this stuff up. Anyway, Rosie Lynn, the disturbing pattern that I'm picking up is that when she makes a mistake, or when she feels like she regrets something, or whatever the case may be, rather than doing what the rest of us do, which is looking at it and going, yeah, that was a really bad mistake. I'm gonna like work on myself to make sure that I don't do that again and things like that. She starts to concoct these wild stories where she couldn't possibly be at fault in any way, shape, or form. And up to this point, like, we listened to 50 minutes of this. If you haven't watched the previous video, it's probably worth going back just because it gives you the kind of lead up and the vibe. But all through those 50 minutes, there was absolutely no accountability, not even the smallest little bit of saying, I messed up here, or not even saying this is the situation where I'm the victim and this is my part to play, because of course there are scenarios that can happen in life where the victim absolutely had no fault, but these are not the sort of situations that we're talking about here. Thank you so much, Stalker. Friendly reminder, a metatarsal is your toe bone. Girl broke her toe. You could just say that, couldn't you? You could. The host kind of yes. The host barely speaks in this interview. It's a lot of us forget she's there. Yeah, she's trying to make it sound worse with big words. And she has done that all the way through as well. It's like nothing is kind of bad or kind of, you know, slightly dramatic. Everything is like to level 10 always. It's at maximum volume, you know, everything turned up to 11, and it's constantly like that, where when you reflect on your life, you don't always have everything at 100%. There is a variation of things that happen, and while things might be bad, it's varying degrees of bad, but not with Rosie Lynn. It's all the maximum level of bad all the time.
And so he sent me a Happy Valentine's Day wig, because that's kind of what he would do. Is it had gotten to the point where I had made myself boring enough that he kind of left me alone for the most part. But he would just like randomly poke and prod me. Like he would send me like pictures of like nacho cheese fountains with like a bunch of like crazy amounts of food and stuff, and just like things like that. He would send me like a message like that. It was in binary code, so I had like in zeros and ones, so I had to like decode it basically. And I just was like, I'm so sick of you. You disgust me. I'm so done with this. And so I finally got the balls to block him, because he would do things like when he was my Facebook friend, one time he interacted with my dad. And I have a boyfriend, and I was like, hey, it makes me really uncomfortable.
See, that's another pattern too, where it sounds like she's had issues with stalkers / trolls / whatever for quite some time. I was having a chat with Nikki T, and she was explaining that Rosie has actually been online for a really long time, and she keeps rebranding, and people don't necessarily link the accounts that it's like all her. And so she's been dealing with this for quite some time, yet in present day, we're still seeing her feed the trolls. So she knows exactly how and why the behavior escalates, and yet she continues to perpetuate that. And that really makes me think that that's what she's wanting. She likes the drama. Yeah, you've noticed that Rosie's use of words is slightly off. Yeah. Yeah, there's something wrong. She does, yeah. Hello, cupcakes. She wants attention to feel special, yes. But that's dangerous when she's playing the sorts of games that she's playing. We're yelling again. I'm being yelled at by baby chicks. I know. Well, I mean, they would be cute if you could see them.
Well, that you're talking to my dad. Can you please like stop? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Next day, he's like inciting full-on conversations with my dad publicly on my Facebook page. So, you know, by that point, I was just so sick of his existence. And
so already at this point, like she's talking about a few years ago where she's got somebody contacting her father. And by the way, why is her father entertaining that kind of conversation? She already knows the risk of poor cybersecurity and what it can do. Why is this person accessing her father? Why has she put Remily in direct danger of Girl World? Why is all of this still happening? True, very good point, Joke. Also a victim complex, so she can stay the same and blame everything and everyone around her. Yeah. And that is absolutely linked to the Arrested Development, because she, it's almost like trying to stay a perpetual baby or a child, right? Because then nothing ever fully lands on your shoulders. Oh, you're a child, you didn't know. Okay, except this is a grown-ass 30-year-old woman at this point, you know? I know, Benita. Her father shows up in her chat, which is weird. Oh, that's interesting, Yummy. She gets the stalker and boyfriend timelines mixed up. I know not everybody has a perfect memory. Mine's certainly not. Sometimes it can be stupidly accurate and good, but not when I want it to be. And, you know, getting small things mixed up, it would be understandable. Although usually when it's something traumatic, that usually starts to become a little bit more clear. Or blocked out. One of the two extremes.
in my life, and knowing he had access to pictures of my nieces and nephew and like all of that, I was just done with him. And so he ended up stalking me for about 3 months through his current partner, because he's got like 7 or 8 kids with like, I don't know, 4 or 5 women. Unless he's had more, which wouldn't surprise me, because he's the type that thinks he should spread his seed. That's another incel thing. And
I'm just doing the math. Likes to spread his seed, but that's an incel thing. Madam? Those two things don't... What? Okay. The other concerning thing here is that when she was talking about her childhood trauma, it was delivered in a very different way to this, quote, trauma. And it really does give her, like, trying to make things up on the spot. That's what I was thinking, Porcelain. If he's an incel, he wouldn't have children. Incels don't get to spread. Yeah. But the concerning thing is she's making some really serious allegations. Now, if these things did actually happen, I totally agree that is way over the line. It's inappropriate. It's criminal even. But if she is in any way inflating this, even if there is a kernel of truth and she's inflating it, this is the sort of thing that follows you and can affect your life. And she's on a very big channel talking about this at this point. Like, We're All Insane podcast has like over 600,000 subscribers. Gwen. Gwen, you mean spread his seed on the wall? Yeah, maybe she means family-centric misogynist? Yeah, maybe, yeah, but incel is not the right word. Maybe she doesn't know what an incel is. I don't know. But in all honesty, like I said in the last stream, I don't like language that references people as a group where they're all tarred with the same brush, especially when you couldn't possibly know the individuals. Like, very rarely in life are people two-dimensional characters like they are on TV, and I kind of get the feeling that Rosie Lynn likes to look at anybody who is outside herself as a two-dimensional being, where she looks at herself as the only complex being, which is just your main character syndrome kind of situation, right? And that's the vibe that I get when she's talking about this.
He's just a monster, man. And I got a little lost in the point of where I'm at. Yeah, so I blocked him, and then that's when he was watching my stories. So he waited until my foot was fractured. I posted a story the day my foot, I fractured my metatarsal while going down a step. It was very dramatic. The next day, my Cash App was hacked. He did 6 penny charges.
I'm just going to remind you all that she's saying that her Cash App just got hacked. Not too long prior, she was talking about how she gave computer access, like remote control, to this guy who was using the dark web via her computer. I'm just going to put that out there. This is what had been just discussed. Not your foot, Ross, your toe. I mean, Kegs, I know you're making a funny. You stubbed your toe, madam. That's not dramatic. But the reality is that could be exactly what happened. It could have been that there was no break. I actually haven't broken many bones in my life, even though I did martial arts, which was surprising. Weirdly dense bones. But I have broken my toe. It's the only one that I have broken, and it was at a 45-degree angle. It was heckin' broken. And like, it is what it is, right? It's not like having a collarbone broken or a rib or an arm or whatever. Foot is technically your toe. The umbrella term for toes. Sorry, there are clucking baby chickens on screen. This makes QLR semi-tolerable. Happy to have been of service. I would be interested, any Rosie historians want to weigh in? So, is Rosie the largest of the 3 girls? Looking, optics-wise, I would say yes, because she looks larger than ALR, but she's taller too. But she will claim that she's not, like, not even close. Told you the babies are the best. Yes, and they're all obsessed with you. Yeah, she's quite a bit taller. I think she's 5'8". Rosie is the tallest, ALR is the heaviest. Surely it wouldn't be by much, though. Like, although one thing I will say, Amber will be holding a lot of weight in her legs because of her lipedema and lymphedema, whereas Rosie actually has, like, she's all top heavy. Yeah. So I would imagine it's probably not far off if it is under. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know though. She actually does address her weight later on, which we will get to if we're all good nuggets. We'll get to it, but I don't know that I believe the numbers she says personally, but we'll see what you all think.
And he did that, and because in 2014, so he did that to me in 2021. In about 2014, he explained to me how doing those penny charges was like he would do one for that was tied to your most recent purchase. So for me, he did Panda Cafe because my most recent purchase had been a meal at Panda Express a few days prior. He did one as a perfume shop because it's supposed to be some psychological thing about making a woman, like, a fat woman feel insecure for smelling bad. Two were to be significant locations. So one was Indianapolis. I think the other was maybe Georgia and or Texas, like where he's originally from. And one was like a standard bank. And like basically he explained how like when you do it this way, the feds won't like be able to track you or whatever. And it's purely meant to be a psychological attack. That's all it's meant to be. It's not meant to actually take money from them, to not get in legal. It's meant to evade legal trouble. And so, the exact order of how all of these things transpired, I do get a little fuzzy.
I just joined. What is the camera showing? You are presently being mauled by 5 baby chicks. They're obsessed with the camera. Can't get them away from it. Thought they'd be bored by now. They're not. Hey, Isabel, that sounds too complicated and traceable to be what she says it is. Look, everything she says, though, is designed to take any blame off herself. I could only imagine, like, if she committed a crime and got caught, I should probably specify, I could only imagine what her interview would look like. And it's really interesting because you know how I say that Amber has stages that she'll roll through, and like tears will be one, rage will be one, manipulation will be one. I think Rosie's first stage is concocting these wild stories. After that, I would be interested to see what follows. Like, what's the second step? If she's called out, and this interviewer is not going to call her out, but if she's challenged in any way, what comes next? Because I bet it's not pretty.
Because I mean, at this point, I was experiencing extreme like psychosis, because back in 2020, when I was sexually assaulted by an unrelated party, I was basically medically kidnapped. I didn't have insurance. And I called 911 on myself after one of my supposed friends told me to go kill myself 3 days after I had been raped, because apparently I needed to hear his side of the story and I was overreacting. Because don't we just love rape apologists? And so...
Look, I don't know. I wasn't there. Every part of my being, as much as it breaches my moral and ethical lines, every part of my being feels like this is concocted, and I hate that. I really do. And by the way, concocting this kind of thing, if that's what she is doing, is appalling, because it then casts doubt on those who have actually gone through this kind of thing. I hate that my instinct is to doubt here. Has the interviewer spoken a word yet? She interjects every now and then, but it's very infrequent. Between the exaggerations and the black and white thinking, it looks like a personality disorder. I would agree with that. Something's off. I'm not a doctor and it's not diagnosed, but it sounds similar. Although another thing it could just be that she's never actually learned how the world works properly, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a personality disorder, but a learning disorder in a sense. And I could see what I've seen of Mimo. Maybe she has supported that. Maybe this is a child who's been indulged far too much. I don't know. But yeah. That's what I said last stream. Interviewer must be questioning her life choices. Exactly those words. Great minds, YouTube. Yes, thank you, Mariam. And I don't like the sensation either. I really try not to doubt people disclosing trauma, but she is making it so hard not to. She really is. It's incredibly uncomfortable. She does say she has an undiagnosed learning disorder. Everything's undiagnosed, isn't it? The interviewer left like 2 hours ago. That's just a cardboard cutout. It would have been the same. Honestly, I could have just zoomed in on Rosie on my screen and it would have been the same experience. Maybe I should have, because we had a lot of feet people coming in. I'm not going to kink shame anybody, but not in my chat. This woman must get inundated. It must be a choice. Oh, Chris and Britt say the essay happened. You trust them? Yeah, no, I'm talking just about, sorry, I caught the follow-up comment to that. I'm talking about, I do agree that there is CSA. It's this particular story and how she's describing it went down that it went. Yeah, if anyone sees anybody in the chat just like here to perv on feet, let the mods know, they'll get rid of them. It's fine. Although I'm not vertical streaming today, so hopefully it'll be less of that. You believe the essay portion, not the medical kidnapping portion. Yeah, I'm much more inclined to believe what was going on in the childhood, or at least that there was something, even if it wasn't necessarily exactly what she said. I think there was something in the past, because this kind of thing doesn't tend to spawn itself from nowhere. But yeah. Someone was being creepy about feet. Quite a few people, all the way through. It is a cheeky cam. When they move their feathery butts away from the camera, you can see it. Oh, it's not bad to vertical stream. It's not bad to vertical stream, but I think what people were seeing was like the foot on there and then the table, so it was pulling in people for, who were just looking at that basically as they were doom scrolling. Is it a face cam for Vera? It might be. Actually, I don't think any of these are silkies, so no.
So, I had like a 72-hour kind of mental breakdown, and I realized that I was really unsafe. And so I went to the hospital and they sedated me. They fully sedated me. Then they walked in while I was sedated. And what I remember is the guy being like blurry and like fuzzy and like wavy looking, holding out a piece of paper, and he's explaining it to me and it's not making any sense to me at all. And I go, I don't understand. And what I remember from him saying was just like, if you sign this, if you don't sign this, the state won't pay for it. So I signed it. And what I signed was an involuntary hold, which they call a 1013 in Georgia, I believe. So the ER held me for 2.5 days. And instead of holding me for 12 more hours, which whether or not they actually are allowed to do that, I don't even know. But they transferred me to a facility called Anchor College Park, Georgia. This place, I don't know how they're allowed to be open. I witnessed them beat elderly patients. I experienced a lot of trauma there. I've actually gone as far as to say I feel like my stay there, truly, not to like compare traumas, but it was like more traumatic than my rape. Like the experience I had there was insane. They denied me water for the first 14 hours I was there.
Okay, so look, I'm interested to hear about her experience in a psych ward. I really am. I do know a fair bit about them, although I have not experienced one as a patient, so I'll put that out there. They take a lot of steps to prevent one from hurting themselves while they're in their care, because they are solely responsible for your well-being at that point. And I am sure that a great deal of it is horrible. And, you know, to the point of even being watched while you're sleeping and things like that when you first get there, you know, it might feel like a boundary violation, it will be uncomfortable, but unfortunately, that's what they need to do to ensure your safety. So I'm guessing she's about to go into how she's been mistreated in these places, and I have a feeling that a lot of what she's about to describe is going to be, like, steps that they need to take to do that. Thank you so much for sharing this joke. This isn't medical kidnapping. This is a psychiatric hold legitimately happened to you at 15. It's very legal. Yeah, this is essentially like a 5150, right? What Brittany went through. I'm sorry that happened. I hope it wasn't a horrible experience for you. Hopefully it was a turning point. Yes, duty of care is their job. I could shower or toilet by myself, but they had to watch me, so I didn't do anything to myself. Hello, HD? Hello. For her to sit there and say that the medical facility is worse than her essay, like, I want to believe all victims, but I press X to doubt, so to speak. Yeah. That's kind of, yeah. I'm heavily conflicted about it too. It's not supposed to be a day spa, Rosie. They hold you in like a cement holding cell with a chair until they transfer you to a psychiatric facility you'll stay at. Yeah. I don't think, it's not meant to be comfortable. It's, yeah. You needed it. It sucked, but you needed it. Yeah, sometimes that's what love looks like, isn't it? When you were in a psychiatric hold, they didn't let me have a plastic knife with my lunch. It wasn't to starve me. It was so I couldn't do things. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Hello, Mels. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I have no doubt that's a very personal thing. Do I mean a 10-15? I don't know, do I? I think it's different depending on what state. Is called something different. They also took your hoodie string. But hey, you're alive. Exactly. It was hard but good overall. That's good. Yeah. So look, I don't know if they withheld water from her for 14 hours. I don't know if there was a reason for that. I don't, you know, I don't know. But let's hear what she has to say. I have no doubt this is going to be triggering for those who have been in one or worked in one or knew somebody that's been in one. But buckle up, let's go. I was told I would get a hospital bed. When I arrived, they didn't have any in the facility. Because of my weight, like I can't sleep on those cots safely. So then I was promised that we'll get you extra pillows so you can at least like be elevated, be able to breathe. That didn't happen. When I asked the nurse, the staff, whatever, when she came into the room the first time, I asked about my extra pillows. She laughed in my face and said, "You're lucky to have one," and closed the door in my face. So I had to sleep like this. Like, let me show you. For 3 days on my stomach to be able to breathe. And I actually have like permanent hand pain from it. I have permanent side pain from the lacking of medical care and equipment.
I mean, the state paid for my trauma. Woo. I'm sure Georgia would love to know that they paid a facility to traumatize.
Okay, look, I'm gonna venture a guess that a lot of these places are understaffed and underfunded and overcrowded because people need what they need, and you're not going to be invited there on a set schedule where you've reserved your special hotel room and things like that. I don't know about permanent hand pain from that kind of thing. I also wonder if maybe they needed her to sit up for certain safety reasons. Maybe they didn't have access to like CPAP machines and things like that. Maybe they didn't have what they needed in order to ensure her safety. And if she's a special case and she requires special things for that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't like this, but she really makes it so hard to believe her. Yeah. Having heard her tell this story before, it actually pisses me off. She says this was worse than the assault, not comparable to me. Not comparable. Can't talk. Not comparable at all to me, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess they're both involuntary to a point. But, yeah. But they didn't give her pillows, so clearly it was worse than being SA'd. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say about any of this. I think we're seeing some really distinct patterns emerging, and we're yelling again. We're yelling. Oh my gosh. Well, they are good comic relief, aren't they? For sure. To be fair, College Park isn't known for being a very nice area, so I wouldn't expect the facility to be funded that well. Good insight. I tend to think that's probably a fair assumption, unless you're paying for a private facility, which she said she's not because she couldn't afford it, so... I'm confused. I thought she said she went there herself, then signed the form for intake. The way she said it, and it was hard to track, so apologies if I've interpreted this wrong. It sounds like she signed an involuntary form because she was told that's the only way the state was going to pay for it. So then she's on an involuntary hold so that the state will pay for it, and that's where she felt like her boundaries had been violated. Anyone else read that the same way? There was a lot of word salad around it, so I do apologize if I've misinterpreted. Yeah, that's true, joke. They can hold you anyway. If you try to leave, they think you're at risk. They put you into an involuntary. They can. Sometimes it can be difficult to get out of these situations once you get yourself in. Not that that should be a deterrent for anybody who legitimately needs it. Yeah, sounded like she signed for the cost. That's what I interpreted too. It's curious. Oh, so it all comes down to her sense of entitlement. Isn't signing something in duress not legally binding? Was it in duress, though? She did it for money. She felt like she was being, I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a liberty with your wording, your coerced, because she was sedated and couldn't understand quite what they wanted. And see, if she says she was under medication too, like, I don't know. I don't know if a facility, would they or could they do it legally if she really wasn't in a state of, I don't know. I don't know. There's so much to unpack, and there's so many variables and moving parts that it's difficult to know exactly what's going on. Hello, polydactyl black cat. I like your name. She claims she wasn't of sound mind. Not too sure how much I believe her, though. Yeah. But if you're signing forms, that's not involuntary, but it might become that based on statements. It could. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Bearing in mind, it's possible that none of this even happened. Yes, yummy. That's what I'm feeling. I feel tied up in circles. It's a lot to unpack, and she purposely tangles it all together. So, yes, I guess it's up for anyone's guess at that point.
And mistreat me. They interviewed me naked for the psychological review in the morning because they refused to do my clothes that night. I only had one pair of clothes with me. They didn't take care of the patients. There was a pregnant girl there and she was having food aversions and they would not accommodate her. I had to basically like profile the staff. Like I remember while I was in there.
Did anyone catch that? What did she say? The pregnant woman was having what? Something aversions?
I was like, you know, walking around trying to be like, oh, hey, you know, which one of you actually gives a fuck about the people in this room? And the answer was not many. And so thankfully there was a nurse that cared and I was able to get her like extra cereal and stuff. But basically.
Oh, thank you, Fnar. Oh, hello. Food aversions. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so unfortunately that's not the place where you're going to get to be picky about your food. I can go back. Yeah, no, it sounded mumbled to me. I just didn't pick it up at all. Morning sickness. Of course. Food aversions equals morning sickness. She's pregnant. Okay. And that's a pattern too. These little kernels of truth, but then they get so twisted up. You want to snuggle the baby so much. What are they doing? Why is your butt in the picture? Miss Ma'am. They couldn't just let her leave. No. Soon we're going to hear about how everything was in black and white, including Rosie. You love their little wings. I know. Yeah, there's 5 of them in there. And they're all huddled around all of you at the moment. You're being smothered by baby chick floof. Not a bad way to go, if I must say. Oh, it is too. Hearing one flew over the cuckoo's nest vibes. It is a bit like that. And like what she's describing, if we were I don't know, like 1970s, I think there was a bit of a revolution in the 80s about how psych wards were handled. But like, we're not. We're talking about the 2020s, or at least the 2010s. I'm not clear on when this was, but yeah, if it was much, you know, decades ago, I might be more willing to believe it. And I'm sure that not everybody is perfect in these psych wards, and I'm sure that not everybody's stay is going to be beneficial in these psych wards, but it's just when you put it into the context of everything is described like this, literally everything in Rosie's life is described like this, that's what unsettles me.
After the first day, when I had signed the little paper, I said I wanted to talk to someone. No one came for me. And so the next morning I did the same thing. And then I walked up to the behavioral health counselor that was running the morning meetings. And she was sitting at like the front desk and she was looking down, working at a binder. And I said, hey, like, so I checked here on the piece of paper. I just want to make sure someone will come talk to me today. Without looking up, she looks right at, without looking up. She keeps looking at what she's doing and she just goes, we don't do that here. And I remember I went, excuse me? What? Because I thought I was delusional. I was like, what? And she repeats herself without missing a beat. We don't do that here. Then why the fuck was I there?
Right.
What? So So, like, for my followers that have, like, followed my journey for a long time, they know a lot about that story. Like, there was an incident where in the middle of the night I woke up because in the room next to me, there was she was a very mean elderly woman, like, but that she still should be treated like a fucking human being. She was not nice to me, but I heard them beat her, like, to try to, like, get her to calm. I heard them hitting her. And she had a roommate too, who was, when I walked out into the lobby, who was just, like, rocking back and forth reading her Bible. And I was able.
So sorry, I just need to be back very quickly. So sorry about that. There was a predator out in the big chicken coop. Oh, interesting. Friendly reminder. Rosie lied and said her dad tries to force her to go to conversion therapy on a stream. Her dad saw it and called it out in the same live. Wow. Okay. And her mum has said that she's a liar as well. So, yeah. Amanda, thank you so much. That's so generous. In my opinion, she's a permanent victim because of the clear enabling of those in her life. She demands attention and blind support. I don't doubt she's had difficulty in her life, but so have we all. Get in line. Yes. Yes, everybody's safe. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Amanda. I agree, and I think that's a lack of perspective of understanding the complexity in everybody else's life as well, and being unable to step outside of herself and see that everybody does have these things, and it doesn't diminish her experience. But I do believe that part of her inflation or exaggeration of all of this is so that we all understand, you know, that she has had difficulty, and maybe there is a part of her that feels like if she doesn't over exaggerate it, people won't believe her. And here's the thing, there's a massive amount of trauma in this chat. I know that because you've all been so open and sharing. But personally, from my own personal perspective, I'm not saying that this matches everyone, but I've been through my fair share of it, and I personally don't care if people believe me or not. Like, I'm putting everything out there so that people can relate to it and people know that they're not alone and, you know, how to thrive and move forward from it. But I really don't give a shit if people don't believe me, because it has no bearing on the journey that I've done, on the strength that I've gained, on, you know, the getting past it and all of that. It doesn't matter. And I almost wonder if the core thing that happened, the truth of it, she is concerned that people won't believe her. Where the irony of that, if I'm right, is that it's because she exaggerates that people don't believe her. Truly, she's the problem. She's also harming folks who have been seriously hurt, impatient, that's true. And that is not just of the current topic, but a lot of things. Yeah, I feel like it could have been a patient fighting staff and she's telling tales. Yeah, and I think they get that a lot too. I think there's a lot of risk on psych staff, but like, who knows? Of course, I'm not going to ignore that corruption is everywhere and it could have happened, but yeah, just in the grand context, all of the filters and everything, it makes you want to doubt innately. Just because it's her reality doesn't mean it's reality, if that makes sense. Yes, it does. Her perspective does not mean fact. Unless you're Rachel. Couldn't resist. Sorry. Hey, Mel, you're not that late, don't worry. Yeah, like I was trying to poorly say earlier, there are no perfect victims except for Rosie and nobody else. Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's a good point too. Again, if this is all true, she should blow the whistle. There will be hundreds of other people to back her up if it's all true. You're on replay. They will not get away from the camera. I love people coming in and just realizing that there's baby chicks, but they're obsessed with the camera and they won't get away from it. So you're getting a lot of fuzzy blur. Apparently people are fine with that.
To manipulate the staff into letting me call my mom, because my mom at the time was living in Norway with my dad. So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was like a normal time for them. So I was able to call her and talk to her. And I was just like, I was in prison for 3 days. I was in this facility. They didn't transfer me.
Did she just say prison?
The medications that they gave me in the ER over. So I actually, that first night as well, I experienced med-induced psychosis for the first time. And you know how I mentioned the psychosis in 2021? I'm now more susceptible to experiencing psychosis because of the medical malpractice that Anchor, as well as the ER up in...
Okay. Look, I'm knowledgeable in a great many things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm an expert on psychosis. I've never experienced it myself. I've not known somebody that I know of who has it. I've gone down a few rabbit holes of various specific conditions. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and spout off about it. This doesn't sound right to me. I am willing for anybody to call me out for being ignorant in this moment. To be honest, you can call me out for being ignorant in any moment, but I don't know if I like that statement. So she's claiming that her experience in this facility is now making her more predisposed to psychosis. Hallucination and psychosis is not the same thing, Rosie. You are not in prison. What a horrible person. So well said, Isabel. Concise, to the point. I love it. You've actually been to Rikers Island. She was not in no clucking prison. She was receiving help that she actually truly does not deserve. And I am anxious about the fact of, was she taking a place that somebody really needed when she didn't really need it. I don't know. I'm not here to say whether she really needed it or not. Even if it was imperfect, I'm offended that she calls that prison when people were trying to help her, and I would love to be able to get that kind of care even if it's not perfect. Having one psychosis doesn't make you more predisposed. Psychosis isn't fun, but then it is fun at the same time. It's weird. Conflicting. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. As someone who is actually predisposed or whatever to psychosis, I'm actually kind of offended by her claim right there. Okay, thank you. So my instinct is correct on this. Thank you, Joke. My mum is bipolar. I'm very experienced with psychosis. I call bull, Rosie. Oh, I agree, Curious. She does need help, but not for that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for everybody for weighing in on that. I will say beds in mental health facilities are extremely limited in the US, and many people go on wait lists and end up passing away. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's kind of, you just put very well what I was trying to say earlier. They're underfunded, understaffed, and especially if you're not paying for a private facility where you have your place in it, which she wasn't. Yeah, and was she taking one from somebody who, oh, I don't know. Bull. Yeah. Okay, more triggers to come, my nuggets. Don't forget to check your own personal mental health well-being. If this is too heavy for anyone, it's okay. You don't have to be here, and there will be plenty more live streams in the future. I just think that all of this is very telling so that we can all learn a little bit more about Rosie and her patterns. It's certainly helping me dial into a couple of things that I had questions about. And I'm really interested to understand more about her parent dynamic as well. The baby chicks are so adorable, they're so comforting. Yes, if you ever need to, just focus on the fuzzy blurriness that you see. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
North Georgia did to me. They failed me every step of the fucking way, and I am permanently damaged from it for the rest of my life. Like, I have issues with my grip strength, and
okay, small rant. Permanently damaged. I have gone through things in my life that has left me permanently damaged, both physically and emotionally. It's stuff that you will need to, I'll have to keep dealing with for the rest of my life. It in no way has an impact on how I run my life and how I grow as a person. I do not let it hold me down. And in fact, I stand up and keep going in spite of a lot of my history. When you embrace this as a personality trait, it's not going to serve you. It's never going to serve you. And I'm so surprised the baby chicks are okay. I don't want to yell around the baby chicks. They're okay. It's fine. And more to the point of the pain, because it sounds like carpal tunnel syndrome. The pain, whether she has an underlying situation or not, this state that she keeps herself in and worsens over time is going to be a large reason for a lot of her pain, if not all. And, in order to get a better look about what might be underlying causes, really, you need to eliminate the major thing in the room first, right? Okay, if she has permanent issues, why have we not heard about it since? Well, she does go on about bad pain days. Presumably that would be chronic and would be at the forefront of your mind always. I call weak source. Also, for a lot of physical injuries, there's a lot of rehabilitation exercises that can be done to get rid of a vast majority of things. Mm, so, I don't know. That bit triggered me. Let's keep going.
I also had like a rough life for the next couple of years because I was so traumatized from everything that happened within the first 2 weeks of January. I ended up living, like, one of my family friends was so gracious as to let me live in their camper in their front yard for 7 months when I could like barely function, let alone work. But I mean, I'm this size and I was living in a camper. That was hard. Like, my knees permanently hurt from the position I had to sleep in. And
yeah, so with respect, none of the girls would be able to walk through my front door in my caravan that I'm building as a realistic thing. They just couldn't get into it. I do worry that all of this trauma, all of this stuff that's happened to her, all of her pain, all of her diagnoses, all of her undiagnoses, has just become a placement for a personality rather than actually taking the time to develop her own sense of self. I wasn't watching the video and forgot about the baby chicks and suddenly started hearing chirping and thought I was going crazy for a second. No, they're babies. And, like, in all honesty too, although I am a big advocate for therapy if people need it and they feel like it's beneficial for them, personally, I've gone through a lot of psychologists in my life. Sometimes my choice, sometimes not. But I actually didn't find them very helpful. Just me personally, don't apply it to yourself. I didn't find it beneficial just because I felt like it was thinking about it too much. You know, like what Rosie's depicting here, it's like, my life was really bad, I'm experiencing so much trauma and I can't work, and you know, I felt like I was getting way too in my own head thinking about things and thinking about what I might have or don't have and how to fix it and the exercises and the CBT and, you know, all of that. And at the end of the day, I found a lot of comfort in just taking action. And for me personally, and that's why I say do the clucking thing, because for me personally, I found that acting is the most beneficial thing. And I think listening to Rosie speak, she would benefit a lot from action over just wallowing and dwelling in all of this stuff that she's discussing. Yes, so well said. It creates a negative feedback loop. It can. Oh, Benita, you agree you've never found a therapist helpful. Yeah, I don't know. Some people really resonate with it. Some people don't. I think find what works for you, I think, is the underlying message. Rosie sounds exhausting to be around. She does. If talking therapy doesn't work for anyone, there's also other types. Good point. If you think it'd be beneficial, EMDR. Oh, can you tell me what these mean? Worked very well for me, and DBT helps with some conditions as well. Yeah, DBT is really good for like BPD sort of things as well. You think therapy helps you for sure. DBT has been the most helpful. That's cool. You're with me. I was in therapy a lot as a kid, and it was nice to talk to someone. But as an adult, I don't feel I need it anymore, and it changed. And changing my habits and perspective is the way. Yes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say too. But yeah, don't take the message that I'm telling you not to go to therapy. I think if it helps you, you should absolutely do that. It made you feel worse, feeling the trauma and not being understood on how deep it goes. Yes, true. There's also creative art therapies. Art therapy is extremely powerful and helps people who can't do talk therapy. Actually, I may have inadvertently done that to myself. But yeah. But yeah, I think though, regardless of whether you sit on pro therapy for yourself or pro action for yourself, not saying therapy is an action, but just the delineation that I'm making here. I think regardless, we're all agreeing that you can't just live in it like Rosie is living in it at the moment. And a negative feedback back loop is the perfect way of saying it. It makes it worse, and it makes it feel insurmountable to just dwell in that.
You know, I always want to make sure I give them credit. I don't think it's, I think what they did for me was so gracious and kind, and I'm so appreciative, because it would have been much worse if I didn't have a roof and a toilet and a shower and electricity to have, you know. And I had to clean it like every single day, because the way the camper worked with the way more water and moisture could get in, it would get moldy within like 48 hours if you weren't like constantly wiping down the water and everything that would accumulate.
Amanda, thank you so much again. I brought this up once before. It comes down to, in my opinion, how do I say this? No, I cannot logic this word out. Please, enlighten me on this. You don't need to do another super chat, just like chat. To be tamasic is to embody quality of darkness, inertia, inactivity, and ignorance. Right. I'm unfamiliar with these terms, and now I'm really interested. Thank you so much. Please elaborate. The only way out is through energy, passion, action. I honestly don't know what could get her to move literally and figuratively. You have to want to, though, don't you? You have to decide, this life is not serving me. I need to change it. Yes, I got that too. What the hell? I had to clean every day. Yes, that is adulting, Rosie. We clean every day. Ayurvedic. Thank you. What is that based on? Where are you coming from? Is this like a philosophy, or is it like a way of life or something like that? Oh, thank you. Yes, perfect. Indian system of health. Now I need to go research more after the stream. Yeah, you can't get out of the forest if you won't stop sitting in the tree branches. Yes. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot. There is a great deal of power in action, and not, in space action. And I know better than anyone that action can look really overwhelming when you're in this kind of state that Rosie's in. Oh, you've gotten yourself into a rut or a funk or just a depressive state, and it can be really difficult to navigate your way out of. And that's where I start, why I constantly say that everything is a practiced skill. And so you don't need to expect yourself to be able to do these things perfectly and all at once. You start practicing what it looks like to have action. And sometimes that can just look like getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, and doing a little skincare or something like that. Sometimes that's where it starts, that kind of thing. It absolutely did for me at one point in my life. And then you, bit by bit, start practicing more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then one day you look back and you don't recognize your past self anymore.
It was a really hard time because that was during COVID. So I reported this abuse 2 weeks later. COVID happened because I didn't report it right away. For the assault. Okay,
so in my mind that puts it in 2019, but I assume she's probably talking about in 2020.
And I was told that basically due to COVID they weren't going to continue proceeding. And it's crazy because like I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how he raped me. And
does one ever have consent? That's That's very interesting wording on her behalf there. He didn't have consent for the way he SA'd me. That sits badly in my ear, and that sounds like getting tricky with words to me. I don't like that at all, because the point is he didn't have consent, full stop. Does that mean perhaps he did have consent for some of it but not all of it, which is fair, because there is, you know, consent can be withdrawn at any time. But that to me sounds like a support of Nikki's theory where she was actually having at least an emotional affair with this man. And yeah, maybe she didn't consent to all of it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't like the way that sits though. So I can get consent to SA someone. I guess you're getting into predilection territory there, aren't you? Oh, sorry to laugh. No, the concept is not... Yes, it's called regret, Roz. That's what it boils down to, isn't it? That's what we're talking about here. Oh my god, I just got here. Do we have chicken camp? Yes, we do. I'm babysitting or chick sitting. Roz, if he SA'd you, there was no consent involved. Or at least withdrawn consent, at the very least. I'm not disbelieving it happened, but the wording was weird. Yeah. And this is problematic. If you're sitting on a platform and you're wanting people to believe you, at the very least, that I hate that I doubt it. I really do. No, we haven't heard the interviewer speak once today. No, we haven't.
It's still being treated like he said, she said. And then back in May of this year, he posted revenge porn of me on one of the Chan sites.
This is the stalker again.
No, this is another person.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the person who saw.
She spoke. I didn't pick that up either. She just rolled straight into that. I thought the same as the interviewer.
Assaulted me in 2020 is a different man.
Okay.
Because like I mentioned, I was completely just like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I guess I was also groomed into polyamory, and in a way.
Okay, maybe there was some G wording at some point with some things. I don't like the use of this particular... The use in this particular sentence, I don't like it. I think it undermines and minimizes and invalidates people who have actually gone through this kind of thing. But yeah, I don't like that particular phrasing at all.
Way of like thinking I was polyamorous and wanting to explore it. And so when I moved back.
And see, that's just sexuality, right? You try some things. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's not. That's okay if it's not. You decide not to pursue it. That is not being G-worded into something. It's not even being coerced into something. It's just trying things. We all do this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we don't then need to go making very serious allegations towards individuals who are out there living their lives. What if people know this person that she's talking about and she's on this very, very public podcast? And what if people take it to that person's work and say, this is talking about that person? Okay, heavy nose breath. Hostess sounds so done. Yeah. I wonder what her worst interview ever is. Look at this body language here. She's closed off. She's doing self-soothing things by touching her leg, and she's just like physically distancing herself as much as she possibly can. Yeah, there's being G-worded and then there's being convinced and wasn't into it. It's two very different things, and it's okay to say that you just don't like something and there doesn't need to be anything else to it. I personally really admire people who can do polyamory. I think it's amazing. I could see how that would be beneficial. I am not someone that could share. I just couldn't do it. I know that I know without a doubt that is not something I could manage. And that's okay. She's recoiling. Yeah. All the episodes are like this. Yeah, I've never seen this podcast before. Interviewer head in position saying, are you for real right now?
To Georgia, I would go to these like BBW like poly parties, like sex parties and stuff. It was a wild time and I learned a lot, but
were people actually having sex there? Just like out in the open? Like big orgies? Yeah. Okay.
It depended on the party. Some were a lot more lit than others.
Wow. How many of those did you go to?
A lot.
Did you enjoy them at the time?
At the time, I don't know. I feel like I was doing anything to feel alive.
Yeah, like it was just part of
it was
your
just
journey.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like at the time, yeah, but
okay.
Okay, so that's telling too. At the time, I was just doing it to feel alive. So, you know, sometimes we go through phases in our life where we will do things because it releases the feel-good hormones in our brain and, you know, for whatever motivation, where we look back on as older adults and go, you know what, that was probably not beneficial to me overall. And again, you just go, I'm just going to chalk it up to a mistake. You don't then go and make allegations about people. All of this sounds like just regret to me. And yeah, actually, good point, Asha. This does sound more like swinging than polyamory. So maybe she doesn't know what polyamory is. Yes, this is pretty much the underlying message of everything, I think, today. Regretful decisions aren't the same as being essayed. And it's not okay to say they're the same. It's really not. You can understand being pressured into unethical non-monogamy because being poly requires consent and agreement from all parties. Very good point. But G-worded, I can't see it. Yes, I agree. And I think to me, like, the thing that comes to mind is when I was like 16, I was pressured by my boyfriend at the time into having relations with him that I didn't feel ready for. It was not SA. It was a mistake I made because I wasn't ready and I gave in to the peer pressure. Do you get what I mean? It was still wrong of him, but it's still not on the same level as if, you know, somebody had physically held me down kind of thing. Does that make sense? And I feel like I have regret for that situation. And I have regret for not having stood up to myself properly. But I wasn't G-worded, I wasn't essayed, I made a mistake. I was young and I was stupid and I made a mistake. I'm gonna go eat more green grapes every time I get triggered by Rosie. How many you got? True. Yeah, she's saying things that are very hurtful to the polyamorous community. It's really gross. Yeah, it actually, good point. Very good point.
Looking back,
you wouldn't do it again.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
Because what ended up happening is I kind of realized, like, at least for one of the party sectors, like there were some private parties that were awesome and fun and great and cute, but there was a certain sector where I found out near the end, around the time I left, that they were like posting their home address on like FetLife, which is like a fetish social media website, like the house where their kids live. Like, come on.
Right.
And when I found out that they were using, this is so gross, when I found out that they were using their kids' beds to help, be a part of the party and like cleaning out the rooms to make it not look like kids' rooms, I was like, that's fucking disgusting. And it was all about the money for them. Like, they were charging single men like $60.
That's an interesting line to draw in the sand when she's just, like, when you take the allegations that she's just put out there, and the clucking, disgusting part is the fact that they transformed kids' rooms. I don't disagree, but it's an interesting line to draw in the sand after everything else she's talked about. You got a whole packet. Love it. Love it. Yes, she's describing swingers. You're right, she is. Yeah, this does sound more like swinging. No shame to swingers at all. No, you do your consenting adults, good stuff. But, yeah, it's... Yeah, 100%. And for the predilections community, SSC, RACK, and all the other acronyms include the C for consent. Yeah. I've talked a lot before. For some reason, I seem to run parallel to a lot of BDSM communities. I've never been part of one. I don't really have any interest in it personally. But I've been to a collaring ceremony. I've met a lot of polyamorous couples. Relationships, trios, I guess was the actual word I'm looking for. I've known people in all range of predilection content, and everybody that I've witnessed has been very respectful with each other and made sure that everybody is consenting, made sure that all of the adults are on the same page as each other, and it's a really decent thing. The collaring ceremony was beautiful, like just like any wedding, really. But this really gives it a bad name, and it's almost like she's working off of a stereotype, possibly through a heavily religious lens of this kind of community. I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty community TV show that's basically Rosie. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Risk-aware consensual kink. To be fair, feathers are also used in BDSM. Inside thought. You're going to say it's basically like a wedding. Yeah, it just involved a collar instead of a ring. And it definitely wasn't white. No, it was nice. It was cute. They still did vows and everything, and like, lovely couple. Yeah. I think I was the most vanilla person there, to be perfectly honest.
And women were basically getting in for free. And what I realized later on is it was officially like $15, but if a woman paired with a man, it only cost like $30 to get in. And
so people would go into these parties and just like
expect sex. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, also not legal unless you get a legal ceremony. Yeah, it was just like a commitment ceremony. Yeah, same thing really as what gay couples had to do prior to the laws being changed.
And like there was multiple times where like I was definitely assaulted, like, you know, but in the scheme of my life, like, and things that I've actually experienced and like experiencing like full on rape and stuff and everything, it's just like, oh, you know, which isn't healthy, nor, you know, it's not healthy at all, but it's the truth. And, you know, once I kind of realized that those parties were kind of set up to be, I don't know, I've had people be like, that sounds like sex trafficking, and I'm like, I don't know if it's that level or not.
Please don't go there. No, it's not the same. It's not.
Like, I'm not an expert, but it was very like,
yeah.
If you like, it was pretty much advised, like, when the women were talking, they'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't go to those parties if I didn't have my husband, or I wouldn't be at these parties if I didn't have this man I trust to protect me, because like I would go alone. And I had some fucked up stuff happen to me.
Right.
But I also am
Okay, so she's claiming that she was G-worded or coerced into going to these parties, which she's calling polyamory, but is clearly just swinging. Or at least, I don't know, maybe not even swinging. Hey, why are we yelling? We're yelling. And then she's saying that she's going alone. So, now look, I am familiar with coercive controlling relationships. I get it. But to be going alone, I don't know. I don't know how far I want to stretch that, because yeah, you can be fully gaslit into, you know, being controlled and all of that. I don't know. How does that sit with all of you? I'm interested to know. Okay, she doesn't trigger me. Homegirl is ticking me off with her flippant use of words and her stretching of stories. Yes, she's using words that don't belong to her in essence. I'm sure she's been in adjacent to these environments, but I don't believe her as far as I can throw her. Sounds like S work. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best category for it. That she went alone makes it, that she went alone makes it feel like she was able to make the choice, but it's hard to say. Yeah. Sorry, Vera, I got too invested in watching the full body chick shots and lost the stream. Where did they go? Oh, they're huddling. Okay, if I get up and move the camera, oh, they're being cute though. They will start attacking the camera again. They're just to your right, and they're just like in a little puddle. Oh, it's cute though. She has a chronic lack of responsibility for her own choices. She really does. She really, really does. And I wish that I could teach her the power in being able to say, I made a mistake. It's so powerful. It is so incredible. And it's one thing that maybe some of you have encountered with me. I'm not going to be like most people where I double down. If you point out that I've been ignorant, why are we yelling? Maybe I'm being too loud. If you point out that I've been ignorant and you've made a point that I've been ignorant, I'm going to sit back and say, yep, that was my bad. I'm gonna correct the way that I view things from here on in. You hear happy chicken noises? Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna try and move the camera.
pretty good at like holding myself down. And there was this one guy at one of the parties that came, and he was like literally like waiting in the wings for people to finish what they were doing, and then he would literally like jump the woman and like this is really gross, because he just like wanted to get like a taste of her, and then he would like leave. And he did that to me and like 8 other women before he got kicked out. 8. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and there's just a lot of stuff like that. There was like there was very much a culture of like protecting the men and stuff. And so when I spoke out about what happened to me, I was ostracized for it because I was very vocal, and I felt I was really angry at how some like the forerunners of those communities were so dismissive of me. And it's not good for business. That's what it boils down to. And, you know.
Also, this is what Remy saw that caused him to reach out. So this is one of 2 podcasts that she's been on. So it's either this one or another one. And yes, there is a possibility that this is what he saw and was like, that is for me. I don't know what that says about him. I moved the camera and then they got obsessed with it again. Where'd they go now? Oh, they're having lunch. Are you 100% Pat Ray? How do we know it was this one? Has it been said? I'm interested to know, because that's not good. This is what he decided on. Yes. You don't know if you're allowed to say the word. Honestly, there's a lot of lenience. Just stay away from condition-related words. You know, like Anna, Mia, that kind of thing. You should be okay with most other words.
Looking back, it's like I can understand why I made those decisions and why I thought that was a good thing at the time. I just wish I had been able to make different decisions. But the thing is I know I would have never gone down that path had I not been groomed into polyamory by my stalker. Like Feederism too, but like I feel like the polyamory was a big part of it. Like it fed into my like unwillingness to like want to commit to other people besides my ex at the time. And
oh, okay. She said it was not the Whatever podcast, and this is the only other one it could be. That's concerning.
And I basically told him like if we got back together, like I didn't want to be monogamous. And ultimately, now I know, I think that was a sign that I probably necessarily didn't fully want to be back with him unless there were certain changes that I just don't know he's able to make. From where I stand currently, I care about him a lot. He was there for me so much. Like, so back on the gang stalking topic, because I didn't really kind of glazed over that with the r/frat people hate, they posted me like,
oh yeah, no, we've definitely got to go back to that. That wasn't covered thoroughly at all. Remily is a walking red flag. I see some things that might be redeeming. I am concerned though that if this is what he saw, the only thing that I might give him the benefit of the doubt on with this is if he is, as he seems, quite a I don't want to say damaged young man. Damaged is the wrong word, but he's clearly working some stuff out and clearly healing from some things. And if that's the case, maybe he felt like she was relatable. I am aware that I might be stretching a bit there, though. Sorry, I'm seeing that there's screenshots. You guys are taking screenshots? Des, you just a bit before. You can't be G-worded into polyamory. Polyamory is love, not S. It's a relationship, right? And I know monogamous is not the right word, but they're still in that relationship dedicated to each other. It's not like then, I don't know, maybe some still have an open relationship, but it doesn't mean that there is an open relationship outside of that. You can see that. You think he's damaged, but you get harmless vibes from him, unlike Rosie. Yes. So the strikes that I've seen against Remily so far is obviously seeing her on a podcast and getting into contact with her that way is concerning. Some of the language that he's used around her is similar to what feeders would use, like, oh, I'm not superficial, I'm into the person and who they are and things like that. That's not exclusive to feeders, but I have observed that that is the sort of language they use. And he has also sent her food. But again, there's a difference between an enabler and a feeder in that context too. So there are some red flags against him for sure. Rosie, on the other hand, there are many, many, many red flags that I would argue put him in direct danger. Especially the way she manages regret. What happens to Remily when she decides she regrets this relationship? Interesting, Pat Ray. You think he's dangerous and damaged. I think it's a toxic relationship all round for sure. I'm just still honing in on what I think, like where I think it's weighted, if that makes sense. Yeah, which is extra dangerous in your opinion. Yeah, for sure. Oh yes, thank you. Not superficial, but also, I forgot that. Also proclaimed chubby chaser, which to me, the words chubby chaser mean something very different than what we're seeing on screen right now. With the way he's touched her body, you think he's just an enabler. Yeah, I mean, it's still not a good outcome, is it? But it's a different, I think intent matters in this conversation. You see him as subservient to her in their relationship. I agree with that. I agree with that a lot. He has encouraged her to eat more sugar way too many times. He knows she's diabetic and super morbidly obese. He's as dangerous as Emily, even if he's not evil like her. Yeah. Look, I reserve the right to change my mind. I just don't want to, I personally, and you don't have to agree with me, but that's what makes this space so great. I personally am hesitant to put a very serious label on somebody that I'm not entirely convinced is in that direction yet. Just because of what it means. It's a very heavy label and it has connotations to it and some very sinister undertones. So I don't want to lean either way just yet. I'm still making up my mind. I am gathering evidence. But he has bought her things for sure. I agree with that. Over 600 pounds isn't chubby. The term is wrong and misguiding. His interest in her size is harmful. Unless he feels she's safe for whatever reason, in an intimate way, he might be feeling like that is a safe option. If I'm right about the fact that he might still be working his sexuality out, he may feel like she's a good cover. That would be the only not dangerous version of events, in my opinion. Oh, or that one. Maybe he wants a mum. And have we seen his mum? Does she resemble his mum? Yeah, that's an excellent point. He strikes me as a naive enabler, but the harm is happening no matter his intentions. That's valid, yes. Enablers are still dangerous. The Texas barbecue vlog. Was that the last one? Actually, I haven't. So bear with me. I may change my mind, Pat Ray. I'm happy to come over to your side of things. I just want to be sure before I do. Weren't his parents overbearing and controlling, and then he goes for super bossy Rosie? He described them as hardcore conservative Christians. That he was concerned about coming out to, so I don't know, make of that what you will. Des, I find this slightly relatable. Some people think that Rosie was on her cycle during the trip, so all the sugar treats might have been to pacify her hangry rage, although to be fair, cycle or not, that may have been true. That's the vlog that gave you the idea they were dabbling in, what is D's? DS? Oh, Dom and Sub? Wait, oh, is that the one where they got into very intimate moments in the dark? I've seen parts of it. I will be doing a video on all of these anyway, so yes. Hello, be like water baby. Hello. Talking about feeders while I watch chicks eating, I'm into that. Am I a freak? No. If you are, I am too. Oh, Trinkies. I also think it's interesting that his Reddit cast his parents in an unfavorable light, but he spoke about his mother in glowing terms in one of the most recent vlogs. I picked up on that too, my spider. Also, hello. I agree with that. I find that interesting too. Yeah, he knows her size and diet cause her harm. I think he's choosing her because she feels safe to him selfishly instead of not crossing that line with someone's life. Again, my opinion. No, I agree. I think there's, at the very least, there's enabling behavior. At the very least. And having said that, I can only imagine what Roz would be like if you said no to her when she wants food. Because, like, let's be honest, somebody in this situation, she is barely mobile. She is not getting her food herself. She's either having it delivered or she's having people bring it to her. So everybody that agrees to bring her that food is enabling and is contributing to the downfall of her health and possibly contributing to, you know, the end times of this. It's not good, but what do you think she's like if you tell her no? And do you want that in your house when she's trapped there for 2 weeks? Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending Remily. I really do genuinely sit on the fence at the moment. But just putting things out there. She got mad at no onions. Oh, thank you. Yes, the final season. Yeah. Yeah. No, to clarify with this, with both of you, Porcelain and Pat Ray, I don't disagree. I just want to be sure before on a platform as a public figure, I go and start calling people very serious things. So I'm putting out all of the possible perspectives, which is what I do. Ah, your name is May, pronounced May. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you, May Spider. I thought you were being cute like my spider. Rosie's condition likely means she sees her food habits as absolutely necessary for herself. I can see her convincing a partner of that as well. I think there's tantrums. I don't think she would be very nice if you weren't contributing to her situation. Oh, we're obsessed with the camera again. Valid. Honestly, there are explanations that could involve trauma responses. Familiarity feels comfortable, but that's just in terms of moving in together. He sought out her size first. He did. He did. And he is getting a side eye considering this is what he was looking at. Shall we continue? I want to get through this today, my nuggets. Stop being distracted by the cute peeping, please.
One time I was posted 7 times on the top 25 of the week for that subreddit. So like pretty much every time I posted, there were people posting, making fun of me. People photoshopped me like selfies, and they would photoshop like a cheeseburger into the selfie. Or one of the ones that really fucked me up was they took a picture of me standing in a purple dress. Like I was standing outside of a Subway holding my sandwich. And they photoshopped all the excess fat off my body, so I looked like this janky, like humanoid version of myself. And they were like, and then in a separate JPEG, they literally like just put a pile of all my like extra fat. And
so basically, you experienced real life bullying growing up, and then online bullying. So my other question that I have for you is, I know that you said growing up in your whole life, basically, like weight was always something that you dealt with. But with the feederism, like as far as that goes, do you think that Stalker kind of like planting that seed in your head, do you think that played a role in like did it cause you to like eat more, or like did it have any effect like that, or was that kind of just
That's a great question. It's hard for me to correlate with that because my eating disorder is so complicated and nuanced. Because I mean, I think I felt like when I really launched into feederism in 2019, he was less involved in my life at the time, but if I remember correctly, like I think he was like really excited about it, obviously, because like under Feederism, there's a lot of sub kinks.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and I might like I can't remember if this is what you said, but after he planted that seed and like you learned what that term meant, did you kind of on your own dive into that kink?
Not right away.
Okay. But that was something eventually that like you kind of catered to for other people that were into that? Okay.
And then it became personal eventually. Like it became way more than I ever would have wanted it to be.
And when you would feed into that kink, was that online? Was that like on the Chatterbait thing?
No. So Chatterbait was a brief stint. Okay. All right. So 2019, I joined a website called Phoebe.
Okay.
It's kind of like Fight Club. Like we don't talk about Phoebe is like kind of how they operate. I'm no longer on there, so fuck it. I don't give a shit.
Right.
But they're a website that caters specifically to feeders. And I made a profile on there initially. I started getting attention because of like my shape gets me a lot of attention in that sphere. Like my body shape and the way I carry my weight. And it started out with just like, I basically did everything like outside of OnlyFans. Like I had a Google Drive and I would just sell by word of mouth. And I priced my modeling based on like being, the way I would explain it to people is like, I priced it as like if I were a high-end escort, in the sense of I charge more because I'm harder to find. You can only get this through me. I'm not on Clips for Sale. I'm not on OnlyFans. I'm not on any subscription service. I'm not affiliated with anyone. And it worked. And because I was only working with people who would pay me those prices, so I was treated with more respect. And I also did it as a safeguard because I had my nudes leaked in like 2013 during the Chatterbait phase and the gang stalking and all that. Like, because my stalker was posting on the Reddits and stuff and on 4chan and 8chan and LOL Cow, so many sites. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, I think I was posted everywhere. And other people were talking about me too, obviously. But he really led the charge.
Oh, yeah. When you put it like that, my condition is so complicated and nuanced. This is going to get much worse. There is a whole section talking about her condition that I've censored, by the way, for words that YouTube doesn't like. But it's going to get worse. Oh, Pat Ray, you're talking about she's a brawler and will go toe-to-toe with literally anyone she can overtake. It's really shocking. I'm not surprised by that. And that said, she's a coward too. Interesting duality, isn't it? We don't have a gang stalking tally. We should have. We should have had a bingo card. I agree. I think when she says gang stalking, she's really talking about online bullying. I don't think I've ever heard lolcal spelled out. She still does that too, I think. It's very weird. Very unusual. Hey Creeds, thanks so much for coming in tonight. Welcome in. It's gonna get worse. Sounds about right for anything QLR related. Valid. Everything about Roz is special and unique. Yes, only she experiences these things. None of us have any insight.
Okay.
And I know this for a fact because my ex found this post and was like, hey, what's up with this? And I think it was on one of the Chan sites. I don't have proof of it now, but my ex could attest to this. Someone wrote a post about, yeah, I had sex with her once, blah, 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 and then saying something like about how I smelled bad. And I knew it was him because one of the things that he had done when we met in person is he forced me to not shower first. And he claimed it was for kink reasons. And I didn't want to do that either. But again, this man scared me. I ended up doing something like the way I got out from under him. So like, you know, he back in 2021 when he did all that stuff, like, and I'm sorry if this isn't linear. This story is really hard to tell. It's over many years, and there's many moving parts. Like, but near the end, when my foot was broken and I had called the police and I tried the FBI again, to no avail. Like, I have proof this man stalks hundreds and hundreds of fat women. I'm a firsthand witness to it, and they just don't care. And that he's probably out there doing this shit to other people right now. But see, the thing with me was I got him to trust me. That was one of the reasons why I think I spared Stockholm a little bit, is I manipulated him into falling in love with me. Once I realized, as much as a narcissist sociopath can, I manipulated him into trusting me. Like, I got his full legal name at one point, and
I think that might be the first true thing she said. I manipulated him into giving me information. Yeah, how would he have the time to stalk hundreds of women? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like the way she talks about this guy, but I have no proof. Just a gut feeling, but nothing more.
I got as much information about him as I could. And then I made him care about me, and then I became incredibly boring. And that's how I got a few years of reprieve before everything blew up. And he,
do you know what comes to my mind, though, whenever she talks about, like, this gang stalking and all of this stuff, is the history and the things that I've seen her describe one or two people's actions as, like, a whole bunch of people. And that's all I keep coming back to. And how do I know? How are we supposed to decipher whether this time she really means it, or whether she's just lying about it all? This sounds like a Netflix movie. It kind of does.
You know, with all those things that he did, like cloning my phone number, he was like trying to get into my Instagram, and thankfully, like, I had that factor authentication. Thankfully, I know what I'm doing, and like I'm educated on like tech sides of things.
Are you? Are you really? Miss, I couldn't get a camera to work, and so I gave up on it. A microphone to work, so I gave up on it. Never mind that we're in 2026, and it's usually just plug and play at this point. You couldn't work out how to change it from default microphone to current microphone. Oh. And she keeps putting people that are close to her in danger. She made it so that Remily could be doxxed. And maybe there's an argument that could be made that he also wants the attention. Maybe he does, but the onus is on her to make him understand what being part of girl world is really like, and she didn't do that either. She relentlessly is poor with tech things, especially security. And as for two-factor authentication, you're supposed to have that, ma'am. That should be the baseline. We're yelling again? Why are we yelling?
And all of that. And
like, how did that officially stop with him?
Yeah, I eventually basically went to him and said, hey, because it's a long story. Let me try to summarize it. Me and this girl named Erica were a part of the same body positivity sphere. Her mom dated his half-brother. He was so abusive, his half-brother, my stalker's half-brother, that she's like permanently disabled and disfigured. I'll leave it at that. It's not my story to tell. But she is permanently like unable to work and has a lot of health complications because of what he did to her. They shared the same dad. She paid for a background check because we kind of, this all came together with me because I had one conversation with him in 2014 and then a conversation with her in like 2021. And I was able to piece this all together, and we figured that out and was like, what the fuck? This is the most random mind fuck. And then she paid for his background check, and I was able to get his address. I was able to get all this information about him. And then and I got it because of her. So I sent him this long message on this fake Facebook profile. This fake Facebook profile is the main one he showed me over TeamViewer. I think it was like Liam something. And he hadn't changed it. Like all the posts and dates and all of that were all still from 2013, 2014. Because he had sat there on TeamViewer and like explained to me why this post was like this to help make it seem more real, blah, blah, blah. So I messaged that and I was just basically like, hey, I know this is full name. I know you're with blah, blah, blah. I know you're at this address. And I was like, if you don't leave me the fuck alone, I'm going to ruin your life. And hey, if I'm crazy and I'm wrong and this is really some white dude named Liam, go ahead and message me proof and I'll apologize. But if you don't, I'm going to assume I'm right. He left me on red, never responded. And it's been crickets ever since.
And how long ago was that? In 21, you said?
Yeah. Okay. It was about, I would say roughly June.
Okay.
Like, summertime 2021.
And you just haven't had any more issues?
Because I will ruin him.
Yeah.
He knows I know who he lives with. I know.
I got so distracted. I'm watching the camera. I did not listen to anything Rosie just said. I think they're actually unhappy with the tent. I gave it there because they were trying to get under things, but I don't think they like it. Just give me a second. Hang on. They have that's on top of a hot water bottle so they can seek some warms if they want it. But I've also got a heater mat in there with them as well. They're getting very loud.
Know the situation with his kids.
I have just did what he did to you back to him.
Wait, really? Oh no, did I actually miss something? Ugh. Go back like a minute. I will ruin him. That's what I get for getting distracted by chickens. Tell me if this is far enough.
Some white dude named Liam, go ahead and message me proof and I'll apologize. But if you don't, I'm going to assume I'm right. He left me on red, never responded. And it's been crickets ever since.
And how long ago was that? In 21, you said?
Yeah. Okay. It was about, I would say roughly June.
Okay.
Like, summertime 2021.
And you just haven't had any more issues?
Because I will ruin him.
Yeah.
He knows I know who he lives with. I know the situation with his kids.
Just did what he did to you back to him. Yeah. And then as far as everything else goes, are you still involved?
I agree. That's sinister, isn't it? That is, I think that's the truth. She does tell on herself. Yeah. And I think every so often the mistreating, manipulator that she is pops out. And we see it sometimes when she's talking to her mother, and we see it when she's talking to her brother, and every now and then when she gets lost in telling the story, it leaks out. And this is why I say I really do believe to my core that this woman that we're watching at the moment has much more capacity to be sinister than Amber Lynn does. And that is horrifying to think about, because I don't have much of a high estimation of her in this area either. And yeah, that's not good. Yes, she has a pattern of using people's kids to threaten them and try to publicly ruin them. And if not their kids, then their pets, right? We've seen that too. Yeah, way more sinister than all the girls, in my opinion. Amber isn't cunning enough to curate her adult spicy time offerings. Yeah. Hard agree. In my opinion, out of all the girls, she's the most sinister. It's not good, is it? It's really not. And I don't know. I came into this covering her because I always like to give everybody a blank slate, right? I have a unique set of filters given my history. I see some things differently to some people, and that's just how I am. So I come into it with a blank slate, and everything that I've seen of her is horrifying. And I think the only benefit is she's probably not as smart as she thinks she is, but she's smart enough that she can do some damage.
With those other websites, or how did you get where did you get with that? Okay.
So I did that for a while. It's really hard for me to talk about how I left Feederism without bringing up two people I don't want to talk about.
Okay.
So,
and just to kind of circle back to that, just so I have an understanding, when you were doing that fetish on your own, was that, and you were catering to other people that had that fetish?
Yes.
So basically, how did that operate?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, for example, one weekend, some guy gave me $600 to have, and the only stipulation is he wanted me to spend it on food. They would pay for content regarding, basically I would just do salacious mukbangs, but the kind of what you wouldn't put on YouTube. I never posted any of that content on mainstream platforms, even if it would have technically been safe for work, because I do have a lot of issues with the mukbang industry, and specifically it's a very touch and go, because there are some that are genuinely innocent and provide a certain level of entertainment that's not sexualized, but then you've got people like Nikocado Avocado, very clearly catering to the fetishists. I could write I could perform a 2-hour video essay on what the fuck Nicocado's doing, but and it's for the money, and it's just, I find a lot.
This was before the big giant twist that Nikocado dropped, by the way. Yeah, I was just about to say that, Boopcat. She literally does this kind of content on the reg on YouTube, even though she knows that she's already lost her monetization status once for it. She's gone back to it. You clearly don't have an issue posting that type of content now, according to your most recent Texas vlogs. So this was 2.5 years ago, I think. Was she doing it back then? Not the 2-hour essay. To be honest, that's pretty much what we've got anyway. So there's that.
A lot of frustration. It's if you're gonna do that, keep it to the adult platforms. Kids watch this shit, and it's normalizing. There's certain things that are normalized in that style of content that is not healthy or good. And then even mukbangs with people who are maybe straight sized, or they're not overweight. There's just the way that you go about it, how you do it.
And there's some weird ones.
There are some weird ones, and it's but also the act of a fat person eating on camera is not a mukbang, is not feeder content. And I'm very vocal about that. When I do eat on camera, I edit around in certain ways, and there are certain things I try to avoid because I know what the feeders want.
Not anymore.
And I want to also be a lifestyle person. I want to cook and eat on camera. I don't want to feel like I can't do that just because I'm an ex-fetus model. I don't want to feel like I have to be performative in that way.
You know what? This is something that I like about Candy, Hungry Fat Chick. At least she's really upfront about what she's doing. She's very honest. She knows full well what she's doing. And I have more of a respect for people that are no, this is what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
I struggle with that a lot, but because I'm also just one person and not an expert, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yums in terms of entertainment. But if you're currently a fetus model and you're out there trying to make a mukbang channel, it's Just because like you're wearing clothes and you're toning it down a little bit doesn't mean you're still not making feeder content. You're just making it on a platform that's accessible to children. And it bugs the shit out of me. Like it really does. It bothers me like on a very deep level. And so near the end of 2022, while living in Florida, I connected with someone over Instagram with the intention of being friends. I'm going to call this person A. We never ended up getting super close. I actually got close to person B. I thought it was like a genuine friendship thing, but it became very clear near the end that I was being used, and they were pretending to be my friend because they wanted me to be a model in a Feedist remake of, the cake scene from Matilda.
So, this pretending to be people's friends. Now, I haven't, to be fair, researched this end of, content creation, but I have gone into, in depth, Eugenia's end, right? And I think for the most part, we're pretty much talking about the same thing, just in a slightly different flavor, right? And yeah, they do. They're friendly because they want a service out of you. And I don't know how much of it is them pretending to be friends as they're just trying to make business contacts because they're trying to make money. I'm not sure that this is quite as sinister as she's making it sound. She claims she's less parasocial, still meets everyone online. She uses for money and gifts, and you better believe if she ever contacts me, the first thing I'm going to do is show all of you. Everything will be public. I will not be responding, but yeah, she gets weird with people online. There doesn't have to be any deep trauma for this to result. A narc child gets attention when overeating. They can simply keep doing it because it got them attention. Valid. She uses everyone but claims she's always being used. And do you know what's scary? I have a feeling that she legitimately thinks that way. I think she really, really believes what she's saying. Like in that respect.
Mm-hmm. I played Belinda, instead of Brucey, Belinda. And I collaborated with person B.
Has everyone seen images of what's being discussed at the moment, or at least can imagine what's going on? The chocolate cake scene in Matilda? She basically recreated that. And the little boy basically eats an entire cake because he's being punished by the Trunchbull. Is everyone on the same track? Yeah, so she recreates this scene basically for adult spicy content, and that's what she's discussing here. Yeah, it's probably pretty much what you're imagining. I can tell you that there was an image of it recently on the Rosie Snark subreddit, but yeah. If she messages you, we will have a tea party like Roz and put on old hats and act pretentious for absolutely no reason to read the messages. I love that. Dude, I'm so innocent. I really need this stuff spelt out for me to understand, so thanks. I hate it. You're welcome. Happy to be of service. Yeah, anyway. But it was predilection content, for sure.
On OF. Basically, we had a falling out that was trivial. It wasn't that, it was just like a private, disagreement where I had some pent up frustration and I felt like they had not been good friends to me the way I had been. And it devolved into some really horrendous drama. Basically, there was just a bunch of back and forth, and they attacked me because it's important to mention these things, because they went on the record saying that I was lying about my disabilities, which is one of the most fucked up things that's ever happened to me, like on the internet space. And I was so angry and hurt by it. And like, it was because these were not just internet friends. Like, these were in real life friends that lived, like, one of them lived like 10 minutes from me. I hung out with them a lot. Like, I had developed a relationship with one of their kids, and it was just this whole scenario that got way out of proportion, to the point that, you know, I had to basically, to the credit of person B, they went ahead and removed the content that I had to campaign hard for them to get taken down. Person A refused, like, because it was throughout this whole process of like realizing that like the feederism was really traumatic for me, that like it was keeping me in like trauma loops, and it was really not in my best interest, and it was hurting me. And at the time I was unaware, I was undiagnosed diabetic, and so I was using a cane because I was struggling to walk because of the dizziness that was coming from the untreated diabetes. I also have a knee injury that got worse because of person B's like couch getting up and down. Is that their fault? Not necessarily. Like, I was choosing to be there and all of that, you know, but like they knew that, and like they lied and said I never used their, like, this whole thing started because the Daily Mail wrote an article about me, and I used their cane instead of mine in the picture, which I used their cane often at their home because of my hurt knee. And they flat out lied and said like I never use it and all this stuff, when like I was literally using it more than they were, things like that. It was very catty, weird. And
so these people basically in this whole experience, then you realizing that the feederism was
hurting
you, that is kind of what made you step out of it?
Yeah. It's been a long fucking journey for me, and I haven't even covered everything, you know? It's just, there's been so much that's happened. And
I see no evidence that she stepped out of it at all. She may have stopped doing the exclusively adult sites, but she hasn't stepped out of it.
So like, where do you stand now? Because I know that you said you have your YouTube platform and things like that. So as far as now, like, what do you use your platforms for?
Yeah, so I currently go by Quirky Love Rose, and I wanted,
explain that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, just because when I made that username the first time I ever downloaded Instagram, and that was before the hate forums. They would all call me Quirky, and for a long time it just ruined the word quirky for me. I recently reclaimed it. Like, I changed it back like a few months ago now, I want to say. It just, I kind of came up with it on the spot because, you know, I am quirky. And if you want to cringe at that, cringe away. Because I just think that, you know, I'm a little odd, I'm silly, and I like to be goofy and have fun. And I wanted to build a platform, you know, around loving myself. So Quirky Love Rose just really fit for me, and it's a bit of a longer username. Now, a lot of people call me Quirky Love Rosie, because I didn't realize with the two E's that actually makes sense. I intended it just to be Rose, but I think at the time Quirky Love Rose was taken. So I added an extra E, if I remember right.
And then is that on YouTube also?
Yes, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm trying to get to 1,000 on TikTok, so if y'all want to follow me on TikTok, that'd be cool. But yeah,
as far as like YouTube, so like, what do you post in there? Is it more like...
Yeah, so it's been like vlogs, like, and actually I've been documenting my mental health journey a lot. So like talking about going to the hospital. In fact, like, I posted a video like announcing when I was going to the hospital.
So this must have been the big uptick in her popularity. I'll get it ready off the screen so I'm not typing. What's her actual handle though? What are they doing? What are you doing? Yeah, it is just Quirky Love Rosie. Okay. I'll leave this playing. I'll be right back.
I recently just posted a bit of an update. I have been taking a little bit of a breather post my second hospital stay, just because I've been sleeping a lot and focusing on like kind of figuring out what my next moves are. I really want to make just like vlogs, like, you know, I'm making a vlog today about like doing things like this. And
okay, so no, it wasn't. Total subscribers. So this was actually in 2023. So she had a massive growth in 2024. Okay, so it wasn't this podcast that did it. But geez, she had a rapid rise. Very rapid. Interesting. Okay. It strikes you about this interview what strikes you about the interview is how the interviewer let her say such detailed things about very triggering subjects. There are ways to mention having trauma history without going too far. Yeah, I have a feeling that might be what they do, though. Oh, hello, Nikki. Her biggest boom was when she started vertical streaming. Yeah, so yeah, she really was a very small channel for quite a while. Although, like you say, she's been jumping around with usernames and things like that. So, yeah. She was. She was purposely inserting herself in Girl World. I was watching a lot of Geordie at the time when she started doing that, but can confirm she really tried hard to be one of the girls. And now says she doesn't want to be. I don't believe it. I really don't.
I want to make content. Like I do sometimes cooking videos. I do like hangout lives. Yeah, I want to find a niche. I'm just not sure what that niche is yet for me. I think that.
And something that like you enjoy, not that somebody.
The niche, also known as Girl World.
else I feel like planted in your head or made you, you know, and I think that can be challenging because it seems like your whole life basically has been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for now? Like, not inspired, that is not the right word, but like influenced. You know, like I feel like your whole life has been influenced by what other people are into or like what has happened to you. And I feel like you haven't had the chance to just find yourself and like live for you and who you are, which is important.
Yeah.
Okay, we are getting very close to the conditions kind of discussion, and I just remembered that I have 5 more gifted memberships that I can give out for this month, so here they come. Be ready. On their way. Internet is thinking. Here we go. Amy, Isabel, Shannon's, I'm Sour, and MLC, congratulations, you all got a gifted membership. Don't forget to head on over to the Discord if you would like to. We have some fun over there. Members only streams coming very soon too. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, and like I do have some accountability in that, you know.
Well, I was gonna say too, like, and that's what we were talking about earlier when I asked if you enjoyed those parties at the time. There's always gonna be things in life that at a point in your life you might have enjoyed it, and then looking back, you might even regret it, which is fine. Or you might be like, well, at that point in my life, yeah, I liked it, but now I don't.
Yeah, because it's insane.
Part of your journey, though.
Right? It's insane that I have a story about how I accidentally ended up in a gangbang. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I lived through some insane things. Like, I've done some insane things, and I can't believe I survived, and that I'm here to tell the tale for. And it's like one of those situations where, you know, you would think like my situation that happened like when I was raped in 2020 was related to that. And because, well, the crazy part was I was like in the midst of trying to leave. Like I was really over it. I was like, the scene was getting really weird. Like a bunch of new people were coming in that were kind of fucking everything up for everybody. And I was just like realizing how vapid and empty it all was, like the meaningless sex. Like now I'm like, I'm single by choice. I'm single by choice, and I don't really take the time to worry about dating right now. Like, and I'm also just like because I had my wild 6 months, like I have no interest in casual sex and like living in Florida and like not wanting to have a child and stuff. Like I'm really worried about that. So, you know, I live such a quiet life now. But, you know, yeah, like, and that's the thing is, and maybe I don't know if I've touched on this enough in this podcast, but I've held myself accountable a lot. Like there's been a lot.
Madam, I've held myself accountable a lot. Madam, you don't know the meaning of the word. I don't even know that you know where to start being accountable. Nikki, girls in the swinger scene, we had a full-on conversation about that earlier. Yes, we agree. Not polyamory, not S-trafficking, swingers. Accountable where, Roz? If holding yourself accountable, it shows up in the way your stories go. It does. She made your spirit so angry but your brain so sad. Oh, creeps. Is accountability in the room with us, Ross?
I wish I could have done differently. I wish there were situations where I could have seen for myself better, that I deserved better, that I had power to walk away and leave. And so in some situations, like more so than others, like, you know,
But
with
also
the
I
stuff.
think mentally, if you feel weak in those moments, you're not going to have that strength to walk away. Like, I think that's something else to really think about, because it's like I said, you can always, when you're like stronger at a certain point in your life, it's very easy to look back and say, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, whatever.
Right, absolutely.
But like in that moment, you didn't for a reason, whether like you felt scared for your life, whether you just were at a weak point.
Yeah.
No matter, like I don't think there ever has to be a clear-cut reason. Like,
has anybody watched much of this particular channel? Is this interviewer usually better at keeping these conversations going? Or is it like, what I'm asking, is it the interviewer or is it Rosie?
your journey is your journey, your life is your life. I think the most important thing is having those experiences.
The chicks are looking for Roz's accountability. Haven't found it yet. I'll let you know if they succeed. Oh my god, I was not watching the video and I did not realize the host was speaking. What's weird about Rosie is that she talks about her extreme trauma so easily, almost with no emotion. One might even question if it happened. One thing I will say to that though, because I do agree with the sentiment you're putting forth, but do I not do the same thing? The reason I do it is not because it didn't happen, but because I'm so distant from said trauma. And it's also therapeutic because I'm continually talking about it on the channel. So it's desensitizing in a way. And I have no doubt that I also come off that way. There are some possibilities. Having said that, I agree with your sentiment. I don't. Do I still sound emotional when I talk about it? I don't know. How many red donos to get this interviewer on the channel? You think she might be thrown by the fact that Rosie is cutting her off whenever she says anything that isn't just smooth brain agreement? Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. Oh, good point. Yeah, there's still tension when I talk about it. The vibe changes. With Roz, it doesn't. No, and like I say, I know we haven't had the contrast in this stream, but if you go back and watch the way she was talking about her childhood trauma in the first stream, it is really different than how she talks about this stuff. And this stuff is more recent, so you would think less dealt with in a way, right? Also, traumatized people also see it as a method of casual sharing / hoping to connect. It's so familiar to the person that they might not realize how severe it is. Yeah. Yes, back to my point from the last stream. She sounds like she's telling a story from an adult novel. She does. Yeah, a bad one too. Yeah, what Rosie is doing is different. Yeah, fair call. I don't get to witness myself from the outside, so it's interesting. But I'm aware that, like, I don't cry when I talk about my childhood trauma anymore. I don't need to. It doesn't affect me in that way anymore. But yeah, there is something wrong with all of this for sure. About 5 minutes away from talking about the condition stuff, which is interesting.
Learning from it whenever that happens, it could take years. It could, it seems to me that you, like you said, like the fact that you even sit here and you're like, yeah, I take accountability, whatever. But like to me, it's just like, who cares? It's part of your life. It's part of your journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that. I just say that because I don't think anybody needs to explain themselves. And it's like, it just is what it is. And it's just, obviously there's always things that like we can want to change. Yeah. But it's your story. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's better than having a boring story sometimes.
True that. I'm worried I'm not even telling my story succinctly enough. I feel like I'm missing so many details.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point, Amanda. She lacks sincerity. Like you said, a majority of us come from a traumatic background. Our BS meter is pretty acute. Yes, it is. It is. Hey, meh. Yeah, we're still going. We'll be going for a bit. It's like an alien trying to pass as human. Like, yeah, this looks like a human, but isn't acting like one, like AI. I feel like I can talk about everything without upsetting myself, but I think about upsetting others by telling them disturbing things. Yeah, it is. Yes, I talk about everything a lot on this channel because it's the point of my channel. It was always the point of my channel, and I really don't talk about this stuff in my personal life much at all, if ever. Maybe if it's appropriate once or twice, but I can't think of a time in recent history. But something about Rosie tells me that this is all she talks about all the time. Yes, exactly. It's a constant victim mentality in every single situation. She never takes accountability for her actions in any situation. That's right. And like I said, there are some situations that happen in life where the victim doesn't have any accountability to be had, for sure. None. This is not them. This is not it. Yeah, quite seriously, the girl who cried victim. Yep. Yeah.
Well, something else I wanted to touch on too was, you mentioned that I feel like growing up with everything that you had gone through, eating was like a form of coping for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know on our call you mentioned that you're kind of going through like a health journey right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, back when I was like, 9 years old, I would sometimes eat so much to the point of.
Okay, so we're heading into the conditions discussion here. I'll try and give you context if needed for the parts that I've censored, but I'm just trying to predict what YouTube doesn't want to hear. So in this case, she was making herself unwell by consuming, but I'm sure contextually you'll pick it all up anyway. But there's a lot of language in here that I'm quite surprised that this video on this podcast has not been age restricted, taken down, or shadow banned in some way.
Because my body physically couldn't hold the food in anymore. Thankfully, I haven't been in that state in many, many years. But throughout some of my early 20s, I think I still dealt with eating. But, through the years, I did treatment. I got diagnosed with disorder in 2017, and then I went against doctor's advice and tried intermittent fasting, and it did end up causing me to overcorrect. And so I have battled with bouts of anorexia.
So that was the A word that YouTube doesn't like. the eugenia end of the spectrum. Look, I don't know how you all feel about this, and as somebody who I was, if you haven't followed my history, if you're new to the channel, whatever, my mother is very similar to, you know, Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mum Passed, how her mother was encouraging her condition. Mine was the same from a very early age, and so I was nowhere near as severe, don't get me wrong, as eugenia, but I was absolutely at that end of the spectrum at one point in my life. Then when all of this stuff happened with my mother, and I realized how much of my life were lies, and I got her out of my life, something in my brain just broke, and I swung way back in the other direction towards, and again, not as severe, but towards Rosie's end, right? So I'm talking about two very specific conditions here. I am considering myself recovered from both of those things, but to look at me, you would not assume that I was in Eugenia's situation at one point. Do you get what I mean? I don't know how I feel. So my point to saying all of this is I understand these conditions are extremely complex, and they move in ways that are not always logical, right? So having said that, I don't know how I feel about Rosie using Eugenia's end that is very, very bad to describe something that she's going through that would have actually potentially been good for her, right? Southern Bonita, yes, I was absolutely atypical because I was doing the over-exercising variant. Yeah, so the irony of atypical being the most common form, yet called atypical. Yes, meh. It was really confusing. I had to edit out the word, but yes, you were reading that right. She dealt with, yes, while currently being in her state. And I understand that, like, intermittent fasting is one of those things that can be dodgy when you're dealing with a condition of any kind anyway. But this would have been in the vein of trying to get her to a healthy state. So I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah. Yeah, this is valid. It has to start somewhere. It can often begin as when an individual is overweight, which often means it takes even longer to get noticed. But I don't know how credible Roz is, but it does happen. It does. And people can take things too far in the other direction. And sometimes that results in like excessive weightlifting and things like that. And anything that is going to be unhealthy for the body if done in too much, not in moderation, you know? Yes. Oh, no, can't put that on the screen. I do agree, Juice, with what you just said, but she's talking about it having happened in between her other condition for a very short period of time. Yeah. Just be careful of the specific words, everyone, because AI can read now on YouTube. I don't mind this version. This is good. Yes, ANA. She never restricted though. Her description of her Anna doesn't even include restriction from how I understood it. More like she'd let herself not be stuffed full at all times. And I think that's really hitting on a really like a valid point, right? I don't think any of the girls, sorry boys having a crying party, and all of the peeping, there's so much noise going on. I don't think any of the girls actually know what it feels like to just have a stomach that's idle. I feel like they overstuff themselves to get the overfull sensation, and then when they're not in the overfull sensation, that's when they interpret that they're hungry. But really it's just your tummy in that interim period before being hungry again. So I think there is a complete misunderstanding about what the sensations do because they've overridden the natural body signals for so long. It's farm noises and we love it. Tay-Tay says hello. Yes, it's a real rooster. I have so many people think that I have background noises playing. It's real. That was Axel and Freddie and Tay-Tay's going, and I have no doubt Ziggy's going too. Ziggy do. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. No, I don't think this is a diagnosis situation there. From the context that I've gotten, do we really know if she was diagnosed with atypical or is it something she gave herself? My feeling is she didn't like the feeling of the intermittent fasting, and that was her rationale to stop doing that. But yeah, anyway, put that out there. Let's continue.
Symptoms, and like to the point of like in 2019 when I was working a job, I literally passed out on the floor and threw up, and they had to call an ambulance because I just wasn't eating. And you know, I was also struggling financially, so that was a fuel for that too. But you know, I've dealt with that even in recent months.
See, the way I think of conditions on either end of the spectrum, I don't think it really matters. It's its own entity that tries to perpetuate itself because it almost hijacks the way you think. It's so deep-seated in the very essence of your being that it's really difficult to separate yourself from it when you're first going through it. And all I'm hearing is her particular condition trying to protect itself. I'm sorry. That chicken just pooped in front of you. I apologize. That was rude. But I don't know. Maybe it was making her feel unwell. I have no doubt that she was struggling to adapt, particularly if we're talking about blood sugar issues already happening and things like that. I don't doubt that she probably wasn't feeling great, but this would have been putting her on the track to health. The condition doesn't want that. Oh, really? Tess, as in the body positivity influencer, she says she has atypical. Look, I don't know. No comment. Fill in your own opinion to that. Yes, this is what I'm trying to say. Having your tummy rumble is not the same as restricting yourself for a prolonged time. That's right. And we're supposed to get hungry. That's supposed to be a natural thing that happens. Your tummy rumbles, you give it some food, it works through the food. You'll be not in a state of hunger or fullness for a period of time, and then you'll get the hunger rumbles again, which is a cue to keep eating. But the overridden signals, it's such a powerful thing that it's hard to correct it, and it's very difficult to articulate if you haven't been through it. I don't know if I'm doing a good job articulating this. But yeah. Oh, well said. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I agree with that. Her condition is pretty much in the driver's seat. It clearly is. With all of the girls, to be fair, it is. Yes, absolutely. Don't forget flood of dopamine that surges is also another compounding factor. It really is, because if you haven't watched my How Not to Be Amber Lynn series, I do recommend, because it goes into the science and breaks down what happens with this. It's less about Amber, more about what happens in the brain. But pushing that dopamine button to get the feel good, especially when you're in a state of not feeling good, and that feels great for a time, but it will lead to burnout, and that's a problem. And when you're in this state, absolutely, you have a dopamine button at your discretion to basically punch whenever you want. There was a time in your life where you couldn't distinguish between head hunger and actual hunger. It takes practice. It really does. And then again, not just when you're in the hungry state, but also getting your head around being able to define, like, when you've had enough food as well. And I think a lot of millennials and older struggle with this because we were the kids that were like, you're going to sit at this table until you've finished your dinner, which is a problem because what that does to that child is say, your body is telling you you're full, but you need to ignore that and listen to what I say because you haven't finished your food. And so then you get yourself caught in a practicing of overriding those those signals, and you continue that into adulthood, right? Thank you, Porcelain. As a millennial, I can confirm this. and then there's the whole, if you don't finish your dinner, you're not getting any dessert. So then not only do you want dessert because you're a child and sugar, and so then you're overfilling yourself with your main meal, and then you have your dessert as well. It's a whole thing. Anyway, to be able to sit there with yourself, and I know that intuitive eating has kind of become a bad term, but to be able to sit there with yourself and go, okay, my tummy at the moment is now telling me that I've had enough food, so I'm going to stop eating. And if I'm hungry later, I'll eat later, right? You're an adult. You get to do that. And it's a whole tricky thing. Yes, meh. I know, isn't that ironic? You did a fast look into the atypical version. It says it's the more common. It really is the more common one and the least noticeable one. It is by far the most common. And you also get in that category, like what I was doing, over-exercising, under-consuming, things like that. So it encapsulates everything that isn't your stereotypical version. So yeah, anyway, let's continue.
And it's especially like when the diabetes thing happened and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I started like just having behaviors and I've become in a way better at like restricting myself, because it's like I've gotten to a point with food that it's like now I very rarely ever want to binge. And when I do want to binge and I start to do it, I feel so physically awful and disgusting. It's like I can't.
I think what she's saying here is very similar to what Amber says. I think that this is what she wants to be true. And she's putting it out there for optics or whatever. I think she desperately wants that to be true. I do not in any way, shape, or form believe that it is actually true.
Yeah.
And so now it's like my focus has been more on my like overall health and wellness and like my mental health and like getting the mentals in order because my brain has been the thing that's made it impossible to fully address this. Like I am not pro weight loss surgery at all. And the reason for that is I just believe that it's medical approved starvation. There's no adequate science to me that explains how amputating your stomach and eating that little calories is any different than being an anorexic. It makes no sense to me. It never will. And I think...
Okay, I have some thoughts about this. I think she is categorically incorrect. And I think that this kind of surgery can be a really wonderful tool for people. Unfortunately, it has a very high failure rate because you actually still need to do work on yourself while you're doing it. But I don't like the comparison that she's made there, because the reality is when you're looking at a body type and a lifestyle like this, you're looking at so many comorbidity, like diseases that can hit you in so many unique and random and horrifying ways that, yeah, there are risks associated with it. Of course there are. There's risks with Ozempic and things like that too. Of course there are. But when you're looking at this, the risks of staying like that, the risks of the long-term commitment and dedication that you would need to your lifestyle to turn it around naturally, it so far outweighs the risks of the actual tool itself. And again, this, I believe, is just her condition fighting for itself, right? She's managed to convince herself that this is not the way and that this is dangerous and horrible for people because she wants to stay in the comfort of her condition. Yes, Isabel, she's coping like an addict. I don't believe science. Yes, the baby cheeps. Oh, they're on the heater mat at the moment. They're just to your right. I can't get the camera around there, unfortunately, but they're on the heater mat. It's very cute. The blue that you see there is all heater mat. You think she's rage baiting at this point? And you're baited? I think she believes it. I wholeheartedly think she believes it. That's an insane take. Like, you don't like weight loss surgery, fine, but that's a wild comparison. It really is. It is. And this is along the same lines as to why Amber goes on and off GLP-1s and things like that. It's all the same function that's happening in their brain. That's it, right there. They don't want to change, which is fine. Don't change. Ruin your life. It's not affecting other people. Well, I mean, kind of, but it's their life. Ultimately, they're adults. They can do what they want with it. And if this is it, then fine, embrace it. But don't try and bullshit us. She really thinks she's serving wisdom. I think she thinks that too. She believes you're just triggered. Fair. Like going in and out of rehab. It really is, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's rage baiting. She rage baits with food. Not her life story. She's extremely sensitive about all those big lies. Yeah. Oh my gosh, they've gone quiet. Oh, they're going to sleep. Oh, cute.
The long-term damages are not well enough researched. Both my parents have had weight loss surgery, and my dad.
So I found that really interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know if it's true, but assuming it may or may not be, I don't know. I find that interesting. So does that mean then that it is a family with a history of mistreating food in some way? Maybe the healthiest things were not taught at childhood, and now she's an adult and won't teach herself, because you can absolutely teach yourself these things. Reparenting, it's a thing. I recommend it. It's the blatant insult of our collective intelligence for me. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is confirmed, as far as we know. As far as we can know, anyway. So that was interesting to me. I didn't know that. Yes, you think her parents tried to help her and she said it was traumatic. And I say what that equates to is there was a whole lot of yelling and tantrums. That's what I think. Oh, cool. Okay. My mother had the surgery, but she gained the weight back till she got on a GLP-1. I can't take GLP-1s. I have a thyroid issue. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. And it blocks your medication. Oh, isn't that true of like pretty much everything with thyroid medication? It's such a pain in the ass. I'm on it too. Yeah, I feel your pain. But yeah, unfortunately there is a very high failure rate on those surgeries, but it doesn't mean it's not worth trying to save your life. She did, Benita. She applied to The Biggest Loser. We will be going through all of this. We are doing everything, bit by bit.
Like over 20 years ago. And I see the issues that he's having with his bones now. And I'm sure if you asked him, he'd say that he doesn't regret the surgery and he loves it and all that. I haven't actually asked him yet. I don't, frankly, really want to have those conversations with people. Like, just on my way here at the airport, some lady was giving me her spiel about losing 80 pounds on weight loss surgery. And you just have to go, thanks. Right. I would just like my plane ticket, please. You know, and you know.
Everybody gets unsolicited advice. Nobody likes unsolicited advice. It's just a thing, Rosie. It's fine.
That's just kind of what you experience as a fat person. And especially as someone of, you know, my fatness, right? And my level of fatness. And it's just like, you know, I have been in this range that I'm currently at now. In fact, I'm lower now than I've been for most of my life. Since I was 18, 19, 20, I was over 500. My height was like 550, but I was averaging like 532 for many years, and now I'm down to like, last I checked was 480. But
So that's the part that I'm just not sure that she's being a reliable narrator in that way. I just don't know. I mean, yeah, your mum also had some bad effects from gastric bypass, but it did save her life. I can see that. This one is projecting her own doubts onto her dad. Yeah. That's it. I mean, what's it worth to save your life? Oh, my nuggets. I wish that I could show you the scene that's going on. Like, it's just to the right of the camera, and I know that if I get up, it will disturb the scene. Do you notice there's no peeping right now? There's a reason for that, and it's so cute. They're all piled in a little puddle of feathers, and they're preening each other, and they're sleeping. Oh my gosh. Fully distracted by the cuteness that's going. It's illegal levels of cuteness, my nuggets. Oh. I can't take a pic at the moment. Not in a reliable way. They're sleepy. They are sleepy snuggles. I'll try and wrangle it. I'll let the video keep playing and I'll try and wrangle something.
You know, I went to the mental hospital at the end of April, and I ended up having to go back for 9 days in the middle of August because of like the med regulation and everything. And now that I'm like, I think I'm like actually not depressed for the first time, maybe ever.
Good.
And it's great, right? But what's been so weird is I've been in this like almost uncanny valley space of mind of like, this is so unfamiliar that it's uncomfortable. Well, it's good, but it's uncomfortable. And like, I've been having to get used to it. And then also sitting in the fact of like, I believe that I may have something like fibromyalgia, if not fibromyalgia.
LV's gonna hear this when she catches the replay and will not be happy. I don't love the use of that term. I understand that like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, the biggest issues that I have with both of those, and by the way, I'm not talking about if you have them, this is not where I'm going with this, but the biggest issue that I have is that they are umbrella terms that are exclusionary diagnoses, and basically it's what doctors will go to if they don't know what's wrong with you. I have a chronic condition that I don't talk about online that for 20 years was misdiagnosed as chronic fatigue. Now it's been diagnosed, now it's medicated, now it's not a problem, and that's what bugs me. And I think that what Rosie is talking about here is, I don't doubt that she's exhausted all the time. I don't doubt that she's in pain all the time. But I think we really need to take the obvious off the table of what causes both of those things in abundance. And then we need to start assessing whether it's something else or not. And I just don't love it. And yeah, I can see already many of you are triggered in the chat. Please don't hear that I'm saying they're not real. They absolutely are. I just think that it's unfortunate the way a lot of medical professionals use those two terms, and it's, yeah. Yes.
I started working with a rheumatologist a couple years ago, but because of the breakup, I had to stop. We eliminated a couple things, but I have a lot of nerve pain, and I've been dealing with a lot of chronic pain and chronic exhaustion. And I was just not prepared for when the depression was addressed, how that didn't get better. And that also was kind of a damper on that for me. But it's amazing to feel like not so clinically depressed and anxious as I have, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like what I said before. I feel like this next chapter of your life is your journey. Like
yes.
Finding yourself, doing the things that you love, getting your mental health in check. Like, and it really seems like that's where you are for yourself right now.
Yeah.
And that is the most important. And I really do think starting with your mental health is key, because that's how everything else kind of falls into line. But yeah, I feel like your whole life has kind of been determined by everybody else or whoever is in your life. And in a way, even these sites that you were on, like I said, they influence, they might.
Okay, I got a video of it. I was just putting it on my drive and then downloading it and all of that so I could show you the absolute adorableness that's going on at the moment. Isn't that cute? That's all they're doing. They're just puddled on, this is the heat mat here. Isn't that adorable? Oh, and now they're all actually lying down, and there may or may not be one with their head tucked behind their wing, and it is, oh, I cannot. It's just so precious. Just anyway, yeah, that's what is just to the right of the camera that you can see. And I don't want to disturb it, my nuggets. I do not want to get up. I don't want to blink wrong. I don't want to breathe wrong. I just want these tiny little things to enjoy their little snug party on a heater mat that I gave them, and it's precious.
Have had some positives in the sense of it gave you these communities where in a way you felt like you could fit in, but it came with so much negative that I feel like now if you're finally in a place that you're just making your own decisions and you're only doing things that feed positivity in your life, like that is all your journey now, and like I feel like where it truly begins.
Like, because if you want to talk about cults, the Feederism community.
Yeah, remember, her pain is unrelated to her diet, and like, let's just say maybe she's right. Maybe there is something underlying that is causing all of this for her. Maybe it isn't just her lifestyle, but almost, at least as far as I can think of, please pipe up if you can think of one that isn't this way, but every single one that I can think of is worsened by this kind of lifestyle. And I don't mean just a little bit, I mean a lot. We don't claim her in our fibro circle. She discredits us more than I agree. Anyone else feel the interviewer was trying to end it there? I think yes. Yes, but she's still got another 13 minutes, unfortunately. Wait, I thought the constant pain was from irreparable damage caused in the mental ward. I think that was just her wrists and her side. It does not include everything else, I think. Yeah, Rosie took the cue, and was like, new topic, yay! Let's talk about cults. She's so done with this interview. I think she said all of 3 sentences. You know what would be fun? To actually go through and edit out just the host's bits of talking and see how long the video is. I reckon it wouldn't exceed like 3 minutes, like at all.
Has some serious cult-like mentality.
Well, I feel like all of those kinks and stuff like that, they go a lot deeper than just being a kink a lot of times. You know what I mean? And it can get really, really dark fast. Because like you said, like I feel like there's levels of everything.
That's right. There's like the people that, because like I recently discovered the term food play, and that sounds fun. That sounds great. You know, that's like the strawberries and whipped cream and chocolate sauce in the bedroom kind of stuff. Or like maybe getting spicy with like a pizza slice or something, you know, just like having the play of sensory. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I genuinely do believe that. But when you're getting into feederism, that's where like the umbrella opens, and it's like there's the weight gain kinks, there's the immobility kinks, there's the death feederism.
Right.
There's things like
hot take, and maybe there will be people that take exception to what I'm about to say, but this is my own perspective. I know that in the community there is a distinction between feeder and what she just said, extra word starting with D. I really think that is just the people that are in this particular predilection group trying to make it seem better than it is. But in my opinion, if you are trying to sustain or worsen this particular condition, you're the same. I don't think a distinction needs to be made. I don't think that extra word needs to be added, because if you are an active participant in this predilection in any way, shape, or form, you are a feeder. And yeah, that's it. You know, with a pizza slice, how? When I was researching Hungry Fat Chick, I stumbled upon some things that I didn't realize were still online. I've seen things, and can I confirm that yes, this is possible? Just use your imagination, shall we? It's burned into my retina. So this is what Remily found attractive. Yes, it doesn't look good, does it? This is a major strike against him for me. It really is. Ah, yeah, Roz says D, Feederism, and looks right at the camera. Hello, who's she trying to signal? I would never see Roz as a person ready to date from this interview, so I'm side-eyeing Remily. Yeah, it kind of... Look, I think what we're seeing is one of two scenarios. Although, if you can think of more of these scenarios, please let me know, because I love to change, like, expand my perspective. He's either what it looks like, you know, feeder, wants this kind of thing, is into all of this, is tickled by it, you know, that's his deal. Or he's looking for somebody as equally damaged as he is. Both of those scenarios are going to be toxic, but please let me know if you can think of more scenarios there. Yeah, the D, well, this doesn't sound better reduced, does it? The D is an inherent feature of feeder. It's the end result if you do not stop putting food into the person. And see, the thing is, when you're dealing with uncontrolled diabetes, any sugar spike can be the final, you know, the game over scenario. It's literally down to any meal is rolling the dice when you're at this kind of level. It is a medical emergency. And so if you're participating in any way, you know, it's not good. Why I want to differentiate an enabler from that is because I do think it's kind of like the difference between first degree murder and manslaughter, right? The intent matters. You're still culpable. It's still not good, but it is slightly different in my mind. Yes. Weeks before meeting Rosie, he posted about meeting his ex because he was, quote, getting off on a fat person and caught feelings. Yes, can confirm. Some people who live this kind of, some people who do this kind of thing for work are only doing it for work and they're not actually a gainer in that case. True. It is not. Yeah, so it's a job thing. Oh, does that make it any better though? See, the consent, when you have this kind of condition on the table, consent becomes an issue because, and I did an entire video on this. Actually, it was my last Rachel video where I went into the actual predilection of this. Consent becomes an issue because if we're talking about a predilection that is like, say your stock standard BDSM, right? Where you like a little bit of light, whatever. You can at any point say a safe word and get out of the situation. When we're talking about feederism, we're talking about a sustained, ongoing situation, dealing with a mental health condition that impacts the way you think in the first place. Plus, we're also likely talking about other vitamin deficiencies and things going on that also impact your thought processes. It's the question of consent is spurious at best. Can people consent to this? And I have read a lot of documentation about this, and I would say possibly no, consent cannot be given in this situation. That's a problem. Creeds, thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships. Welcome aboard to all of the Cluckers. Can we please get some chicken butts or juicy peaches in the chat for Creeds? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Congratulations to Funkle, Nomi, Laurel, Kinsley, absolutely not. Yeah, I like that name. Annie Rexit, Drunk Baby, GG Eek, Hopalicious, Lime Souls, and user BZ for congratulations. Welcome to the Clocking Crew. There's a Discord. There is members only content. I've put the tutorial on how to link your YouTube account in the description of this live. Thank you so much. I appreciate your Creeds. Exactly, her conditions don't let her see this for what it is. He won't be with her when she's losing limbs. Same thing as helping somebody take themselves out of the game of life by other means. Yeah, it is. So my only question is, where exactly does he sit in this? Naive, lost boy, enabler, or active participant? It's got to be one of those three. Imagine having a safe word during feeding like pancakes. So I couldn't resist. You're good. But right, consent is an issue here. It really is. Oh, thank you so much, Kremlings. Yeah, there's approximately a 15-minute sync delay. Sometimes people find logging out of their Discord and then logging back in forces it to sync, and that works well. It's taking advantage of an extreme vulnerability, which is a decades-long condition that has dominated her mind since she was a kid. Exactly. And that's why I'm hesitant to put the label, because you know exactly what that means, right? What you're accusing somebody of, to me, it is akin to calling somebody a PDF. I want to be damn sure before I do it. This does not look good for him. I will say that. But also, in the essence of asking the question, what would it look like if we're wrong? Can I just say, if he's not an active participant in this predilection, she is making him look like an active participant by all of the things that she's posted, all of the things that she's said. And if he isn't, she is really setting him up for a very dangerous game here. You're on the side of enabler, but now you don't know. After seeing this, I am less sure, for sure. On the spectrum of movement, let's say I've moved slightly in the direction that isn't good for him. Oh, computer, I'm sorry. How is this the second chat today? I got passed over for a membership blitz. Oh, I'm so sorry. That happens to me too. Maybe the next one. Fingers crossed. You chat a lot. I'm surprised. Interesting take, Pat. He absolutely gets... oh, Bo Bay, thank you so much for joining the Clocking Crew over on Twitch too. Thank you. He absolutely gets with people because of their size, because he's posted about that, and Rosie's over 600 pounds, so we think. He's educated enough to know the consequences. I think he might just be selfish, not evil. Yeah. That's kind of looking like the best case scenario for him at the moment. I don't love that. Yeah, I will definitely watch that, Pat Ray. I agree. I'm just a bit behind on everything. It's been a week. Actually, it's been a couple of weeks. Yeah, good point, actually. Make sure you have the setting enabled to receive memberships. I definitely do, and I still get missed.
Vor, which are like 100% role play and technically don't really.
So, just on that, sorry to pause her very quickly. On that, I actually had an amazing nugget contact me anonymously, and they will stay anonymous. Contact me saying that they are in this scene and they are horrified and really wanted me to understand deeply how closely linked this vor stuff is with the feeder stuff. Like stupid close, scary close. And there was a lot of emphasis on that, and I don't know which way it goes, like who wants to consume what, but there's something wrong with this aspect of paraphilic disorder.
Hurt anybody, but at the same time, what? Because for those that are playing at home that don't know what vor is essentially the act of, it can kind of vary, the act of swallowing someone whole. So like the common frame of mind for that would be like someone my size, or like in a lot of it being role play, like a very, very giant humanoid type sized person swallowing a man who's like very, very small and frail. Or like eating like...
Oh, I love this point, Mare. There is no consent if you're addicted. We've established that for drugs. Yes, so you can't consent to somebody doing it for you. Food can be highly addicting. Our brain is wired to sugar and salt, actually. And studies on sugar show the same mechanisms in our brain. I have read these studies. I can concur. And it is hugely addictive, especially in the US where there's use of high fructose corn syrup. That one is worse, but all of them generally speaking. And then you add the condition on top of it, it's compounding. Yeah, she is. Yes, Feederism cloaks many insidious practices. For the is she explaining it wrong, I don't want to go into it on my stream, but feel free to do your own research on like actual, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, my brain just switched off. Thanks, brain. We need to go a little longer. Just fully switched off. Description, meaning, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm so sorry. This is what streaming on a migraine is like. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm speaking English at this point. Takes a drag of my cigarette. Don't bring up the US. You have a notification for Busy Little Bee covering the Biggest Loser audition? Yes. I will be covering it. I definitely will. Thank you. Definition is the word I was looking for. Oh, I promise I'm not this stupid. Oh dear. You're struggling to find the Raptor Chicken Snack Crew, but I think we should close out with that for all the new Cluckers. Oh, also, I'll mention for anyone who wants to get on the Discord and struggles with the tutorial that I have linked, just send me a friend request on Discord. I'll get you in there. It's fine. Sometimes, I don't know, the syncing is not always doing the syncing thing.
Things that are not food that are huge and massive to get even. And then like, it's almost like that would equate to you getting instantly as big as those things. So like, it's a complete fallacy. It's all that kind of kink is worked out only in role play. You can't, it can't exist outside of role play, you know.
Right.
And like giantess, which is, you know, again, like the whole, you know, Amazon sized women. It can be for fat people, or even there are some people into giantess that just want like, you know, 10, 20 foot tall women, which has, I think, a lot to do with like the power dynamic of the physical representation of the size differences and stuff, and like contrast and comparison and all those things like that. Where like, because that's a big thing in those communities, is like having someone my size sitting next to a dude who's like 5'2", like 100 pounds soaking wet, you know, things like that. And I mean, I think to this day, my photo is still used as the picture definition of SSBBW. on the BBW wiki, which is kind of funny.
What's SS?
So, it's the same thing as that, but supersized. So it's like a weight class essentially. So anywhere between like 350 up to 600 is SSBBW. Anything above that is USSBBW, which is kind of like how the categories get categorized for the content that gets made.
Wow.
Because then like there's a lot of people in the spaces that like don't engage in feederism and are able to be successful, but there's a lot of money in kink.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times when you see those models making big bank, it's one of two things. They're either really good in their niche of a kink, or they're really popular somewhere else. Like that's when if you're making big money on OF nowadays, that's just kind of how it is. Like you either have your thing and you're really good at it and you've worked and built your clientele, or you are like an influencer.
Yeah, it's all good. I found it, Cramblings. I will finish out the video, so I'll do all my thank yous and goodbyes, and then I'll finish out with that particular Raptor snack crew that you're talking about. I've got it. I remember it well. Those girls are insane.
And are hot, you know, and you're able to just kind of like build it that way. And so when I launched my OnlyFans, it was at the recommendation of the person that I connected with, basically because part of how they were paying me was in exposure and shouting me out and stuff. Because like I did pretty good on my own, like converting sales on my own within the first couple of days, but you know, they definitely gave me a boost on that, but the content was geared towards specifically like the feederism side of things, because like that's what makes the most money.
Right.
And it was just, I just realized as time was going on how unhappy it made me, how much I didn't actually want to do it. I felt almost like stupid if I didn't do it, because it was just like money sitting on the table that I was ignoring, even though it definitely doesn't bring me joy. And, you know, I want to write a book one day. I want to be like, you know, my dream life involves like traveling and being like, you know, being paid to be myself, you know, like.
Oh, look who woke up. That is really sad, because she's talking about traveling and, you know, her dream life, and in 2 years she's made no progress. If anything, the opposite of that. Her urge to search the eye contact with the camera is really irritating. Like she's not really talking to the interviewer but giving a performance, lecturing the viewers. I think that's exactly what's going on. Their power dynamic, so this is with Remily, I take it, their power dynamic is all over the place, and it can't be healthy. I agree with that completely. Yeah. Oh, now they're peeping again. They just had a Zoz, so maybe there will be zoomies now. Oh, they're so cute. Rosie is really good at something I like to call lip service. She knows the answers to give but has no follow through. Yes. Yes.
I don't know. You can call me Delulu, but I just feel like I have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I just need the experience and ability to get in front of people and show them who I am, and that I am authentic, and like I show up as me. And I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to say, and a lot that I've experienced. And, you know, I do have multiple chronic disabilities, and some invisible, and most of them are invisible. And I have these limitations that I never want to fully hold me back. And I'm 31 now, so now is the time for me to kind of reclaim my life and get myself somewhere. You know, a lot of people expect me to feel this pressure to be on some like major weight loss journey. And while I definitely don't want to stay as large as I currently am, I don't want to ever feel the pressure of like, I have to lose this much weight by this amount of time. I have to be a certain size, you know, being an ex-fetus model, I actually have a lot of fear around losing weight. I have this very irrational fear that I'll get uglier as I lose weight. And that is something like, I don't even know how to unpack that with a therapist, because it's like no one can really relate to that unless they've been a model like at my size. And so I've got a couple friends that when I say that to, they're like, yeah, I get it.
I was going to say too, I feel like it kind of boils down to a place of comfort. Like if you've been in a way, it's like if you've been the same way for so long, you're comfortable there. So it's like the fear of the unknown of like, I mean, I feel like that's normal.
Yeah. And more so than that too, if you really think about it, the only ever validation I've ever received for my physicality has been related to my fatness.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so much more than that, and I know that. But at the same time, that doesn't change my brain from being like...
And this is all just a show. It's all just a show.
But it doesn't change my brain's like initial fear response. Like, because I started losing weight, and I didn't lose that much weight, and all of a sudden I was looking in the mirror and I was already experiencing like body dysmorphia of like, wow, I look so small. No, bitch, you don't. What the fuck are you talking about? Your hips are still above 70 inches. Shut up. Like you're still fat as fuck. It's like, you know, I've never been one to like think of fat as an insult, at least in my adulthood. And, you know, I know that I'm beautiful, and I know that has so much more to do with my heart and soul than anything else.
Absolutely.
And it took me a really long time to...
I don't believe that she believes that. I believe her self-confidence is in the basement, and this is how she probably wants to be, wishes it was. But I don't... don't absolutely... Sorry, I'm really... Sorry, the chicks enter raptor mode. Well, they had a nap and now they're hungry. And now they're pecking you. Chicken chaos. Yeah. She doesn't reflect on the answers she's learned to give, hence missing all the really important nuances and coming off fake because of it. Yeah. I start to wonder if she's affected by the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah. Oh, I've wondered that too, Naomi. What's she drinking? Is she like Amber who refuses to drink plain water? I don't know. This one's definitely a flavored one.
To get to that point.
Well, I was going to say too, I think coming on here, and you are a very open person. You're an open book. I think that you speak with a lot of confidence.
Thank you.
And I think all of those things are signs of somebody that is just overall a confident, happy, good person. And I feel like, to me,
I hate the way Roz is looking at this interviewer. I'm imagining being in front of it. I think that would be so condescending. You know, the head tilt, the smile, something about it is making me irrationally angry. I'm gonna leave it there.
that shows your heart and soul. Like,
Thank you.
You're not, I don't think anybody's defined by their experiences or what they have or haven't done. And I think that obviously the bad experiences should have never happened, but they did. And I think that they build who you are, and you have that. They're there for a reason. And I think that you coming on here in so many different ways can reach people, you know, whether people...
That's my dream.
Yeah, but I think it does. And a lot of, whether it's somebody that is in a completely different kink, you know, and might have experienced that. Somebody that's experienced a stalker.
Yeah.
Or, you know, dealing with different coping mechanisms. Like it's so many different, I feel like, points that you hit on that someone can relate to, even if, and I always say that, even if your story isn't the same.
Or being an Exmo.
Yeah.
We're like a little club.
Right. And I just feel like coming on here takes a lot of strength and vulnerability, and you did that. And I feel like that's a lot to be proud of. And it proves that you're more than just, I think everybody's more than just what they have done, what they are, what people view them as. It's like, all that stuff. And if that's only what people are going to see you as, and that's their loss. That's
exactly.
Not, you know.
Like, because I think for me, like, my live stream include like...
This was trying to finish. She wasn't inviting you to have more conversation. Oh, I feel for this woman. I do. She was wrapping up. This was a wrap-up summation of the entire interview. Read the room.
I really want to write and publish a book and like do a TED Talk and like you know, things like that. Like I want to be able to share my stories and use my life experience to help other people. And that's kind of what I've been doing. Like I've been vlogging on my Instagram stories for like 10 years now. First it used to be on Snapchat, and off and on. Like I did leave the internet for some time, post the stalker stuff, because actually my ex was dealing with a really nasty custody battle, and one of his exes found out.
Oh man. Yeah, I feel for her too. She can never get this time back. Oh, I wondered that too. Like, because clearly the setup is usually like this kind of chair. Maybe they just have one. I don't know if they commonly have plus size individuals on their show, but yeah. The low hanging fruit here is too easy. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. Taking the mature route, Amanda. I'm proud of you. Interviewer needs more control and direction skills. I agree. I don't love this interview. I put it this way, if I was watching this, it wouldn't cause me to subscribe. It really wouldn't. And it's interesting because I really love to see aspects of other people's lives, but yet needed control. Hey King, literally the chicks, I'm obsessed. I know. Aren't they gorgeous? It was. Good point. This was edited. I wonder how long they sat there. Because they would have had like toilet breaks and stuff, surely. And it's still got 3.5 minutes.
About what I was being targeted online for. So she decided to take that to his parents and add more lies to it, which there was already so much bullshit about me. Honestly, she didn't need to. Yeah. She really didn't need to. They had more than enough ammunition. She's like, oh, let me just add this shit in here too. And so basically I was told like, either we have to break up or you have to leave the internet, because it's like, this is too much, and this could get brought up in court for like the safety of the child or whatever. And it was like a really gnarly battle of custody. He won, thank God. But yeah, so actually like my first ever Instagram, I deleted at 10K, and that was like when I went as Quirky. And then I recently, when I made the name change, it was like right before I deleted my OnlyFans, when I started like trying to figure out what my new rebranding was going to be. When I was leaving Feederism, I was like, I was thinking back to like to who I once was. And
oh, Amanda. Honest question for the chat. Do you think you could speak about yourself for this long in this much depth? Have, can, would. I don't know what that says about me. Although, to be fair, a lot of what I do also includes other people to reflect off, so.
I realized like at my heart and core, like the things that I was missing was just like when
he only got to keep custody because Rosie stopped posting online. That's how badly she was clucking with their lives. And see, this is actually something that I think about with Emily and Amber as well, because we know Emily doesn't have custody. And I can only imagine what the potential of it has for that child. It's not good. And now we see like a court thinking that way too. Remember, this was over 3 hours. Well, the video itself was 1 hour 50. But yeah, like the recording, how much was edited out? You don't do anything interesting, you just start talking about insects instead. I would be okay with that, Marianne. Feel free.
Intentions when I first created my Instagram, just be goofy and silly and quirky,
just being you,
and just having fun and focusing on the things I really love and care about myself within my heart and soul, not just like portraying this image for men to double tap, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so fucking vapid and not actually me or what I want.
And that comes with age too. It does.
I think so, yeah.
It just like when the older you get, I think the more you realize the true meaning behind life and how important it is to do the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
And not rely on any other validation, whatever it might be, honestly. But you did amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you
coming on here.
Thank you for giving me a platform, and I just want to say I
course.
think what you do here is really fantastic, and I took a bit of a look into what you're doing online and everything, and I think you're really killing the game. And,
Thank
and
you.
you seem like the kind of person that like stays in your lane and mind your business, and I really respect that.
Try to.
Yeah.
I don't have any time to go in any other lanes. I can't deal with it, okay?
Yes, I'm
stay
trying
in my little chair and I just...
And that's what.
Oh my gosh, the host gets loud. No, I don't enjoy that. That's awful. Don't do that. Bad.
But you know what? I've been there for the past couple months now. It's been fucking nice.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's just like, you know, like I said earlier, like I'm not trying to shit talk nobody, but there are unfortunately.
What, madam, you're not here to shit talk anyone. You spent the vast majority of this outlining exactly how much mistreatment you've gone through at the hands of, what was it, 3 people? That was like most of this stream. You shit talking everybody you can. Nothing is your fault. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. You need a 24/7 chick stream. These are not my chicks. I am chick sitting at the moment. These are the grandparents that have the farm that we're going to go help. But they were in town today and needed help. So this is what we're doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. I've got a stream then. But you can have chicken cam. There was so much talking and so little depth. But we learned a lot, didn't we?
Unfortunately, some bad people in my story that are important to the plot.
Yeah.
But I'm just so thankful that they're in my past, and I only have good things looking out for me.
Here.
Growth from here. Amen to that.
Yes. No, but you're incredible. And like I said, I can't stress
Don't say growth, ma'am. Don't. Wrong word.
enough. I think that all the experiences that you have had have gotten you here today.
Agreed.
So they definitely, there's some of them in there that definitely suck and should have never happened. But I think that the best thing that you can do is just be like, they happen, I'm gonna keep pushing forward and become better from it. Because like you said, even the example you gave before, like you can either become a monster from something or you can kind of rise above. And yeah, everybody's got their weird things that can be weird. They might not be perfect.
Right.
But like at least you're not a monster. And I feel like that, I always say people.
I am actually concerned after watching this that is exactly what Rosie Lynn is. I think she is capable of great monstrosity. Scary stuff, actually.
People can go one of 2 directions.
Yep.
You know, so I think it's incredible if you can use even the negative things to your benefit.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what you're doing, and I think it's great. So,
Thank
amazing
you.
job. You're welcome.
And we're done. We got through it, Nuggets. Now we're all trauma bonded. Can you feel it? And that's just how they ended it. Just cut. That's it. That was the download that I got. Oh, look at the fluffy butt. Okay. All right. So my purpose of going through these historical ones, I wasn't sure how this particular podcast was going to handle their copyright situation. But they've been very reasonable. And also this content, my last stream, YouTube had no problem with, which I was very surprised about. Parts of this will go in the historical deep dive videos that I do. I will be starting one up for Rosie Lynn over here, and she will have her own fairy tale and everything. But there's just bits and pieces that I want to keep watching to gain more and more context. And I know that a lot of you are learning about her as I do as well. So these sorts of things are really good to watch. If you've got other videos or lives or whatever that you think are telling, please feel free to let me know about that. I'm Vera the Chucken on all socials, so you can DM me anywhere. Except Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to get a handle on who she is as a person, but in all honesty, I don't think it's a good person. I really don't. Questionable at best. But yeah, but that was very insightful. Thank you so much to everybody who's been in today. I will play Crambling's favorite snack crew on the way out because yeah, there's chicken raptors in it for sure. You really see how dinosaurs kind of came into the whole thing. But thank you so much to all of my mods, everyone chatting, everyone lurking. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships and the super chats as well. I appreciate you all so much. And an extra big thank you to my replay nuggets. I appreciate you too. But that is all the clocks I have left to give. I will play this one. But stay gold, my little nuggets. I'll catch you next time. Welcome to the second part of February 2026 official Chook and Snack crew. A big thank you to Bobet and Veronica for sponsoring Salt and Pepper. We have grapes and strawberries for the snack today, and if you've seen my previous video, welcome to the second part of February 2026. Technical difficulties. It's not playing. Why aren't you playing? Welcome to the February 2026 official Chicken Snack crew. This is going to be Team Ziggy, kindly sponsored by Amy, Emlyn, All, and Carly. Thank you so much. You have Ziggy, Stevie, Rihanna, and Grace, respectively. And today, the snack is strawberries and grapes. Now, they have not had these before, so it's going to be really interesting to get their reaction. And here I was trying to get this really cute, nice snack footage for you all. But yeah, here's what I got. Shame on all of you. Liked the treats so much. I'm trying to get cute footage for your sponsors. You give 0 clocks. Absolutely 0 clocks. Not cute. Just rabid dinosaur. Okay, a bit cute. So I wound up having to get my husband